Sala, ladies and gentlemen. Before we start, I kindly ask upon all the esteemed guests as well as everybody to please sit down because we're going to carry on with our first segment of the day. Ladies and gentlemen, greetings. On behalf of the organizing committee, we'd like to extend my warmest welcome to everybody which are right here. And for those who are joining us via online, via the Zoom platform as well. Today, we are delighted to welcome you, our distinguished guests and delegates, to the conference on Delivering Inclusion for Life. This is a partnership collaboration between the UK as well as Malaysia. Dear delegates and esteemed guests, education for children with special educational needs is one of UNESCO's mission, bringing high quality education closer to every student while opening greater opportunities for special educational needs to dream of participating in high quality education or programs from early age. Just like other normal children, this conference aims to bring together academia, researchers, educational leaders, and practitioners all across the world. Ladies and gentlemen, this conference is also organized based on a consensus and inequality between the United Kingdom and Malaysia, providing good opportunity for UK educational organizations such as Nisai Group. Well, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, in today's seminar, it is my honor to introduce and welcome the distinguished guests which are on the table. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause to welcome Acting Deputy British High Commissioner to Malaysia, Mr. Tom Shepherd. CEO and founder of Nisai Group, Mr. Dhruv Patel. At the same time, ladies and gentlemen, we also like to welcome all the presenters and participants. From the Institute of Teacher Education Technical Campus, give it up to Dr. Hanani Harun Rasi. Programmer Office of UNESCO Regional Office in Bangkok, Ms. Catherine Rozak. Founder of Oasis Place and also mother. Give it up to Dr. S.K. Choi. Deputy CEO of Ventures Trust of UK, Mr. Tristan Williams. Chief Executive Officer at the Inclusive Outdoor Classroom, Ms. Anne Subaishini Sivanathan. Executive Director of Nisai Educational Trust, give it up to Mr. Paul Kinlisai. We also have in the room Executive Director of CQ Tech TVET College. Give it up to Ms. Kalaishilvi Punanaban. And last but not least, we have from the Institute of Advanced Studies at University of Malaya. Give it up to Professor Dr. Yong Zulina Zubairi. Unfortunately for today, we have an incident for back injury from Professor Jim Pugh from Satisha University in UK, our extinguished guest. So he cannot be here together with us today, but we wish our best wishes to Professor Jim for a speedy recovery, and we look forward to welcome him in the next seminar. Well, ladies and gentlemen, to carry forward, I'm pleased to introduce a specific individual to declare an opening speech. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big round of applause to the Acting Deputy British High Commissioner to Malaysia, Mr. Tom Shepherd. Wishes to Professor Jim for a speedy recovery, and we look forward to welcome him in the next seminar. Well, ladies.
What a welcome. Thank you very much. Hello. Okay, great. Mr. Dhruv Patel, CEO and founder, Nisai Group. Ladies and gentlemen, practitioners, educators, everybody online. It's a great honor to be here today. Thank you very much for the really warm welcome and the fantastic emceeing introduction to get us all energized. It really is, I think, as a representative of the UK government, a great honor to be here today. UK and Malaysia, as everybody knows, has a very strong historic relationship, and education is really one of the pillars on which our relationship is founded, and it's something we in the High Commission are very proud of and work very hard to maintain. Thousands of Malaysian students studying in the UK. There's 5 British campuses here in Malaysia. Great partnerships on TVET and skills as well. And a great set of British international schools as well in Malaysia. So it's something we're really proud of, and we hope with our partners in the Malaysian government and in business in both UK and Malaysia, we can really make that stand up and make that get even better into the future. So I'd like to thank, of course, the Nisai Group and everybody's here today for really bringing some more energy and impetus into that. And it's fantastic to hear about the partnership with Oasis Place that is going on and all of the great work there. I think, particularly in this field of inclusion, is something I'm really passionate about. I'm the father of a neurodiverse child myself. My son has autism and ADHD, and I really rely on, I think, the support and expertise of people like you guys in the room to kind of help me through the day sometimes, it feels like, but certainly to help give him the best opportunities in his life. And I really like the idea behind this event of lifelong learning and kind of how do we support these children, young people who may be vulnerable but also have a lot of potential, and how do we help them make that potential. So I really hope you have a fantastic discussion today. And I think the three taglines that were kind of given to me about this event around relevance, equity, and empowerment strike me as very powerful ideas for how we should approach education, not just for neurodiverse students or people, adults, lifelong learners, but for everybody really. I think access to education and overcoming any impairment you have to access the best possible education is really it's a noble cause. So I'm very proud to be here today. I'm very proud to be in the room with all you fantastic people who work on that day in, day out, rather than just coming in and talking about it for 5 minutes like me. So that's really fantastic. But I don't really want to take up lots of your time when you have so many fantastic sessions and things to look forward to today. So just to say welcome. Thank you very much, Dhruv and the team for inviting me, and thanks everybody for your hard work on this important issue. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tom, for the meaningful speech. Well, to carry on with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite the next individual on stage to share a remark on the occasion today. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big round of applause to the CEO and founder of Nisai Group. Give it up to Mr. Dhruv Patel.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you, Tom, for that opening speech. This is what it's all about, right? For me, that picture says a lot of words, right? And it's interesting for me, we've been doing this for 27 years, right? And I think this is something which we need to. So I'd like to welcome all of you and our wonderful speakers and our guests, both here in KL and online across Southeast Asia. Thank you so much for giving up your time and bringing your expertise and passion to this event. Nisai Group has been successful in delivering innovation in inclusive education for over 25 years, both in UK and in Asia. We have been privileged to touch the lives of over thousands and thousands of learners and to meet and work with wonderful colleagues. As a learning organization, we also have consistently recognized the best learning and teaching takes place because of the strong partnership for change and reform. That is why today we bring together leading practitioners in inclusive education from Malaysia, wider Southeast Asia, and United Kingdom. Our hope is that this event will create innovative partnerships that can bring about a change in the lifelong education and employment opportunities for people with learning differences and educational needs. I know that all of us are coming at this issue with a passion for educational inclusion and equity, and focus the need to meet the goal 4 of United Nations 2030 Sustainable Development Goals to ensure inclusive, equality, and inclusive, equitable, and quality education and promote lifelong learning. However, we should all recognize that this partnership event is taking place against the backdrop of accelerating change that is impacting all learners across the globe, and that is, this event and others like it are being framed for four key impacting factors. Rapid advances in technology. The advent of digital technology has revolutionized the education landscape, providing new ways of learning and engaging students. Globalization. The world is ever more interconnected and interdependent. The learners of all ages must have global perspective to navigate this diverse and complex world. Changing demands on the workforce. The workforce landscape is undergoing rapid changes. An education system must adapt to provide and to prepare learners for new and emerging careers. COVID, the lasting impact of COVID, what it's going to do on our future workforce and how it's going to impact our future livelihoods. And that's something which we need to bring into account and how we can reduce that learning loss. Against the backdrop of accelerating change, this event will specifically explore key aspects, innovations, and partnerships that we should consider in delivering education for people with learning differences and special education. Relevance, ensuring that everyone is equipped with relevant skills and knowledge to be part of the workforce now and into the future. We are facing a world where lifelong learning will be critical to economic viability. Empowerment. Education innovation is the engine that empowers everyone to become informed citizens, critical thinkers, problem solvers, capable of shaping a better future for themselves and their communities, and releasing the potential people with learning differences. Equity. At NISI Group, we believe education is fundamental human right, and there is a moral and economic case for ensuring equitable access to quality education for all learners, regardless of learning need, age, background, or socioeconomic status. Why do we at NISI talk about equity and not equality? Currently, the most inclusive education focuses on equality. The provision of the same thing for all learners. This is surely a fair way to approach the issue, but equality will build a healthy environment that is welcoming, supportive, and so creates an atmosphere for allowing further growth and building lifelong learners. This level of equality provides us with mainstream schooling systems. However, if all have different needs and then providing equality does not always provide a true fairness. This is why NISI Group favors educational equity, and it is also why I'm pleased to formally announce our partnership with Oasis Place, an amazing inclusion organization based here in Kuala Lumpur. So, for this, I'm really keen to bring, very happy to have Dr. SK here, and I've got to know SK for some time, and it's been an amazing journey we've been having together, and I really am honored and proud to meet her. And I think our paths have crossed for what they call the karma, right? And it's crossed because I think this is something which we're going to be putting together here. Is going to be a way of forward of how we can pull this kind of situations together. So for that, I think we would like to talk to you something. Yeah. See, I don't know.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, once again, let's give it up to the man right here, Mr. Dhruv Patel. Well, to seize this opportunity, actually, I would like to invite everybody to take some participation because we would like to take a group photo together. So kindly ask upon all the people, please to stand up and just arrange yourselves at the stage right here. We're going to take a group photo, all right, before we start the session. So let's go. Meanwhile, will I have your attention? So everybody, kindly do please stand up. We're going to take a group photo together to commemorate this memory together. So if you guys would like to stand on stage, you guys are free to do so as well. But most importantly, we would like to have each and every one of you in this picture together. All right, so for the videographers, for the photographers, kindly do stand by at their positions as we take your pictures. So for the VIPs as well as the delegates, you guys can stand at the center portion, and while the rest, you guys can surround them. Okay, so for the videographer, photographer, you guys want to stand on stage? You guys want to take a selfie right here? Sounds good. All right. How about you guys stand on your spot, and for the photographer, you guys will come here to the stage, and you will take that one shot. I think this will be a better view, all right? All right. I don't think we can get everyone, all right? Everybody here. All right. So everybody, before we start the session, I kindly grab upon your attention. Kindly look forward here. This will be our main photographer of the day. All right, kindly kindly ask upon Mr. Drew, as well as Mr. Tom and all the VIPs. Please do look forward here at the camera. All right, photographer, let's go. All right, make sure you guys gather around. All right, we need everybody in this shot. So if you guys are at the back, just kindly just step forward a little bit so that to make sure everybody is in this picture.
Those at the front, gather closer. Alright, let's gather closer. Come closer, come closer.
All right, so all at the front, kindly just squeeze in a little bit so that we can get all of you in one shot. All right, we need a chair. Okay. So people from the back, I don't think that we can quite see you just yet, all right? We want to make sure everybody is in this shot together. So hold on a sec. You want to take a chair? All right. So for the team, kindly do prepare a chair. We're going to take a couple of pictures, all right? The first one will be a little bit corporate. Next one, freestyle, okay? All right. All right, just be careful a little bit. I'm just going to help you. All right, so everybody, look forward, and 3, 2, 1. That was the normal one, right? All right, you want something a little bit funky, a little bit freestyle? All right, so 3, 2, 1. Do you want for the video? One more for the video, all right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to make this a little bit special. Once we count down 3, 2, 1, I want you guys to shout out, yay! All right? All right, let's do it. In 3, 2, 1! I believe we have the shot, do we? All right, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Please give a big round of applause to yourselves. And kindly please be seated as we will kickstart the seminar. Ladies and gentlemen, to seize this opportunity as well, on behalf of commencing today's event, we would like to formalize a significant agreement, which is a collaborative signing agreement between the esteemed institutions, the Nisai Group from the UK, as well as Oasis Place from Malaysia. As you guys know, Nisai Group, a global leading online educator in the UK with more than 28 years of experience in delivering high-quality education, has extended its presence to Asia, including Malaysia, in recent years. Together along with Oasis Place, Malaysia's largest transdisciplinary action in Malaysia, and this is a perfect chance to establish a robust alliance between the both. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to conclude the significant collaborative agreement. We'd like to invite Nisai Group as well as Oasis Place on stage as well as its co-partners. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause. For this session, we'd like to invite Mr. Drew, founder of Nissan Group, as well as Dr. S.K. Choi on stage. Thank you so much for coming to today's talk and also seminar. I'm sure that your input and feedback will be extremely valuable to us. And to kick things off, currently we would like to discuss the current state of play and future development of inclusion practice in Southeast Asia and specifically in Malaysia. For this talk, I'd like to invite the Director of Institute of Teacher Education at Technical Campus. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly give a big round of applause to welcome Dr. Hanani Harun Rasid. Here you go.
You stand there?
Yeah, no problem. The stairs are right here.
Okay.
Do you want to stand on stage? Anything?
So I think I should just use the
Okay. The pointers right here.
Assalamualaikum and good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Moderator, Mr. Dhruv Patel, all the guests, the VIPs, practitioners, and everyone present. My name is Hanani, and I'm the former director of Sen, and I was invited to speak today to you on behalf of Sen. And I feel honored to be invited and to be with all of you who are very passionate about the lives of children with disabilities. And I do believe that there is so much that we can do for these children. And congratulations to Nisai Group for organizing this event. And though the name Technical Education Campus is quite unfamiliar to the inclusive education, but as a former director and as someone who is really passionate about the education of these children, I think I'm very happy to be with you this afternoon. And I'm glad that Nisai has established a partnership with Oasis Place, and I think there'll be a better service for these children in Malaysia, knowing how Nisai Group has worked really hard to promote inclusion. Now, I would like to start today's session with echoing one of the commitments expressed in the Salamanca statement to push for the education for all children with disabilities, which call for inclusion to be the norm. For everyone's information, we will be celebrating the 10th anniversary of Salamanca Statement this June 2024. We have achieved so much, but I'm sure that everyone will agree with me that there's much more that could be done towards achieving inclusion. Allow me to share this slide. I'm very fond of this slide, which is called the Framework for Disability Inclusive Education, a resource reference developed by Institute for Educational Planning, IIEP, UNESCO, and UNICEF. Using several indicators, it detailed the elements needed to analyze education systems and plan for a system that caters to learners' diverse needs. Referring to the framework, the enabling environment explains the existing laws and policies, data and evidence, leadership and management, as well as finance surrounding disability inclusive education. Whereas the service delivery section examines what is needed in order to support the implementation of disability inclusive education, such as the supply of infrastructure, teachers, and learning materials. To achieve quality education, we need to ensure curriculum, students' assessment, and learning support are well in place. And these implementations will involve relevant costs, attitudes, risks, and benefits, which is the demanding factor within the system. This DIE framework summarizes a comprehensive overview for government to look at their education system. It also provides structural views in implementing changes, especially in revising, reforming, and monitoring the status of inclusive education. This is an overview of the scenario of Malaysia inclusive education. Now, Malaysia reinforces the importance of inclusive education, which adheres to providing inclusion and equity through education for learners with disabilities. Inclusion highlights opportunities for an equal involvement of individuals with disabilities, physical, social, and emotional, when possible, into typical education, but leaves accessible and probability of individual selections and possibilities for special aid and accommodations for persons who need it. Malaysia's definition of inclusive education may not be the same as other countries, but we believe in providing equity to all children. So the Minister of Malaysia outlined three designated settings for learners with disabilities in the country. Firstly, the special education schools, and most of us refer this as the exclusion. Okay. Firstly, the special education schools. Secondly, the special education integrated programs. And the third, the inclusive education program. There are three programs provided for children with disabilities in Malaysia by the Ministry of Education. Just to share the data, there are 28 primary and 3 secondary special education schools in the country. In addition to the 31 schools mentioned, there are 4 vocational special education schools that serve as providers of skills training for students between 16 to 19 years old in transitioning them to employment. The second setting is the special education integrated programs, or in Malay, the short form is called PPKI. A number of 1,721 primary schools and 940 secondary schools in Malaysia are currently implementing it. The PPKI is having 1 or more special education classrooms within the compound of a typical mainstream school. Inclusive happen during physical education, recess, assembly, certain academic subjects, and school events. Students in the integrated programs learn using the specifically designed curriculum for students with special needs, whether in the primary or in the secondary school, which incorporate appropriate moderation and modification from the national curriculum. The third setting is the inclusive education program, where special needs students are placed in typical classroom learning alongside their typical peers on full-time basis. there are 6,231 primary and 4,872 secondary inclusive classes throughout the country. To make all this happen, the Ministry of Education Malaysia worked closely with their stakeholders, being schools, administrators, teachers, parents, government agencies, as well as NGOs. Okay, this is the data extracted from MOE website as of 31st October 2023. I think this is the latest data. Okay, there are a total of 116,044 students with special educational needs registered with the MOE. The students are from the age of 6 to 19 years old. In mind of our friends with visual challenges, allow me to read one by one the numbers mentioned on the slide. Learning difficulties, students having the biggest number, which is 97,494 students. LD refers to students who have autism, Down syndrome, ADHD, dyslexia, and other intellectual challenges, followed by students with physical impairments with 7,006 students and 4,162 multiple disability students. Hearing impairment and visual impairment students registered 3,755 and 2,616 respectively. Rather, a consistent number as per recorded within the past 3 years. Finally, the smallest group is our students with speech impairments with 1,011 students. For your information, the data is only from the MOE database. We have, in Malaysia, we have data kept by the Ministry of Health and also by the Ministry of Welfare. And these ministries cater or provide services for children with disabilities in Malaysia. So the data that I presented just now is not comprehensive enough, but it can tell the big number of children that needs to be provided with necessary supports. Okay. Okay, that is an overview on inclusive education in Malaysia. Now I will move on to Simiosen. Simiosen is a regional center for special educational needs that focuses on 6 priority areas, which are visual disability, hearing disability, speech disability, physical disabilities, learning disabilities, and multiple disabilities. Perhaps some of you know Simiosen and some of you may not know. So this is an introduction to Simiosen, and for your information, Simiosen is established in 2012, and it is one of 26 Simio centers which is located in Malacca. Its mission is to promote and enhance the quality of special educational needs practices among Simio member countries, whereas its vision is to be the leading center for quality teaching and learning in special educational needs. The center proudly serves its 11 Simio member countries in the Southeast Asia region, namely Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, PDR, Malaysia, Myanmar, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, Timor-Leste, and Vietnam. Being the regional center, servicing countries with various inclusive implementations, practices, and language challenges, SIMUSEN obviously cannot work alone. The Centre believes partnerships and collaboration is the driven factor for success. To name a few, the Centre works closely with all the 26 SIMU centres across Southeast Asia. Not to forget the important and the prominent role of 11 ministries of education through the excellent work of appointed SIMUSEN governing board members. Relevant ministries' roles are also one of the key factors in ensuring a wider reach, especially for the portfolio of health, human resource, skilling and welfare. The strong support of international organizations such as UNESCO has proven to allow the work of SIMUSEN to be acknowledged and better disseminated throughout the world. SIMU associate member countries, especially the British government, has been very supportive to a SIMUSEN effort in promoting inclusion. SIMUSEN has been working closely with the British High Commission and British Educational Supply Association, or BESA, within the past years. We have today one of SIMUSEN partners, the NISAI Group, which has been very active in supporting our learners with disabilities and efforts towards promoting inclusive education. Even during the past pandemic, NISAI has been delivering its services tirelessly in ensuring that our learners with disabilities are not left behind. SIMUSEN commends this hard work, especially towards our SIMU member countries. Thank you, Mr. Dhruv Patel. And not to forget, representing the many groups of disabilities, the NGOs played an important role in our line of work, especially participating in the research activities. So these are some of the collaboration works between SIMUSEN and its partners. The first research is on the Disability Inclusive Education in Southeast Asia e-book. This is a collaboration with the 11 ministries of education in Southeast Asia. Upon completion, the DIE book entails comprehensive insights of inclusive education implementations by ministries across the 11 SIMU member countries. And the second research is on the development, validation and evaluation of an online video module to educate Malaysia parents for hearing aid management. This is a research collaboration with the National University of Malaysia, UKM, and the research involves developing 6 informative videos to guide Malaysian parents on the proper use of settings and maintenance of hearing aid devices. SIMUSEN plans to share these 6 videos with all the member countries, of course by having closed captions in their languages. Presently the videos are in Malay language. SIMUSEN foresees that these videos will greatly assist teachers and parents handling their students or their children hearing aids and maximizing the device lifetime. And this is on the training programs conducted by SIMUSEN. Again, SIMUSEN works very closely with the 11 ministries of education in identifying teachers and educators to attend the training programs. Some of the training planned for 2024 are the first one, teaching approaches for learners with dyslexia, dyscalculia and dysgraphia. And this course offers specialized training courses across various zones in Malaysia. And an estimated of 420 teachers will benefit from this course. And SIMUSEN also offer in-country courses on the topic of inclusive. This is a tailored training course designed upon request, especially for Lao PDR and Indonesia. And there are also regular courses conducted for special education teachers from all the 11 member countries. Simusen also offers customized courses to our clients through our consultation unit. And I think this is what Simusen is really proud of, the International Conference on Special Education. This is one of the main agenda that Simusen is committed to organize biennially since 2015. ICSE is the most effective platform for collaborations where the center invites educators, education officers, stakeholders, NGOs, universities, parents, communities to come together in facilitating exchange of best practices, sharing ideas, networking opportunities, while also offering insights into current trends in disability inclusive education. Looking ahead, the 6th ICSE is planned to be held in Sarawak, Malaysia. Simusen is currently seeking for partners to collaborate and participate in this significant event. Inclusive Open Educational Resources, IOER manuals. This is one of Simusen's commitment in providing the reference for universal design for learning. I think now Simusen is in progress of developing this IOER manual. The UDL approach refers to a process in which a resource or curriculum is intentionally designed to offer flexible and inclusive approaches that can be customized and adjusted for individual needs. The key components are to ensure flexibility and accessibility in the ways information is presented to reduce the barriers in instruction by providing appropriate accommodations and support. Simusen is currently developing an IOER manuals which will be disseminated to stakeholders as resource reference to ensure a more inclusive, resource-friendly environment, especially in addressing the development of learning materials for individuals with disabilities. Okay. This is my last slide. So you may follow Simusen activities via their social media platforms, and potential partners, collaborators may reach out to Simusen via their website. So once again, I would like to thank Nisai Group for inviting me to this meaningful event, and thank you for listening. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hanani, for the insightful information. It's truly staggering as well. I mean, like if you talk about just stats alone in Malaysia, from the age of 6 to 19, there's, I think, approximately 116,000 people with disabilities in Malaysia. Ladies and gentlemen, right now we'd like to continue for the next speech. For this, I'd like to direct your attention to the screen. This will be online. We would like to invite the Program Officer of UNESCO Regional Office in Bangkok, and she would like to share the priorities and projects of UNESCO Bangkok in its work in equity and inclusion. Ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, please give a round of applause to Miss Catherine. Catherine, are you there?
Hello, can you hear me?
Well, the stage is yours. Take it away.
Thank you so much. So my name is Catherine Merchant. I work at UNESCO Bangkok office with the Inclusive Education team. I have a very short presentation today. Can you put up my slides? Can you see my slide? Okay, great. Okay, so can we have the next slide, please? Okay, so let me just provide some basic information first as background. So with UNESCO Bangkok office in my team, we're working on SDG 4, the Sustainable Development Goal 4, which is to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. So all people, in this case, is irrespective of sex, age, race, ethnicity. It includes persons with disabilities, migrants, indigenous peoples, children and youth from vulnerable situations. So all these people should have access to lifelong learning opportunities that would help them acquire the knowledge and skills needed to exploit opportunities and participate fully in society. So for me, as I mentioned before, I work in the equity and inclusion team. So we work on equity and inclusion issues specifically for SDG 4.5, which is on gender equality and equal access for all. And also I'm responsible for SDG 4.2 as well, which is early childhood care and education and pre-primary education. Next slide, please. So when we're talking about equity in education, it's the extent to which access and opportunities for children and adults are just and fair. So for UNESCO, inclusion embodies the values, the policies, practices that support the rights of every child, regardless of their abilities to participate in the classroom or in society. Um, and over the years, we've been seeing a lot of advances in this equity and inclusion area, but there are still some barriers. For example, there are negative attitudes still prevalent. There's also discrimination. There's lack of proper designs and implementation of national policies to support inclusive education. Um, and also lack of reliable data, which is a very important issue for children with disabilities in particular, because without the right data, we're unable to provide the necessary interventions that are needed. And also weak interagency and cross-sector coordination, because overall for inclusive education to work, a whole lot of sectors need to work together. Next slide, please. So this is just an example of how we can move towards inclusive education or inclusion in education. Most of the time we're still seeing exclusion where, children have less opportunities to be involved in the education. And then we are seeing also the segregation model, which is where different learning environments are available for different types of learners. There's integration model where children are able to attend the mainstream schools, but there is no accommodations or no adaptations in the learning environment. And also the last stage is the inclusion, which is where we really want to move to, where the whole education system is transformed to be more inclusive. And this means it should be designed following the universal design for learning to encompass various approaches to ensure that participation and success of all children are achieved. So, this includes the use of differentiated teaching methods, for example, and utilizing inclusive resources. Next. So for UNESCO, the two main areas that are that we are working on inclusive education is the disability inclusive education and multilingual education. So equity and inclusion in education, it ensures the process intended to respond to students' diversity by increasing their participation and reducing exclusion. So I think you all know that the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child recognizes children's rights to education, to health, to privacy, and to protection from all forms of abuse. So that forms the basis for inclusive education, where UNESCO is working from. So by having an inclusive education policies and systems, it helps make the society, of course, more inclusive and less discriminatory by enabling children to grow, to experience diversity, and to understand the importance of ending discrimination in their communities. So inclusive classrooms are not only benefiting the marginalized children, but they're beneficial for everyone by bringing everyone together, from different backgrounds, different experiences, different skills. It actually makes society stronger. Next. Okay, so UNESCO provides technical advice and assistance to the member states on designing and implementing equitable, inclusive, and quality education policies and systems. So these are just a few examples that in the next few slides that I will show of the kind of work that we're doing on inclusive education. So this is the example of the teacher's handbook, which uh, it's intended to serve as a practical resource to help teachers and teacher educators to gain understanding on multiple issues of inclusion for their day-to-day work and acquire the competencies that facilitate inclusive pedagogy. So the handbook is comprised of a few different modules, each of which presents the concept or the conceptual discussion of key topics related to inclusion, to diversity, and it features a lot of case studies within the region where teachers, can look for examples. So it also provides a framework for the teachers to ensure that learning continues in the wake of crisis and emergencies such as the past COVID-19 pandemic, and it deals with a lot of topics aiming to build capacity of teachers and teacher educators on learning recovery and resilience in education. Next, please. So another major part of the work of UNESCO on inclusion is we are chairing this disability inclusive education in Asia Pacific working group. It was inaugurated in August 2020, so it's still relatively new. And it's co-chaired by, of course, UNESCO Bangkok, UNICEF, and ASEAN Disability Forum. So we do a lot of capacity building webinars and events. For example, the latest webinar that we did at the end of last year, which received quite a lot of good feedback, was on it was a technical data workshop on mainstreaming and investing in disability inclusive data for inclusive education. So after that workshop, we have received quite a number of requests from the countries to provide more in-depth capacity building in the area of data collection, data analysis, and utilizing that data to make more informed policies on inclusive education. Next. Another work of UNESCO is supporting countries in the Asia Pacific region to strengthen capacities to respond to learners' diversity and needs, as well as addressing multiple forms of discrimination. So we have this online teacher training course called the G Team, which is it was developed in partnership with Simeo to build the capacity of teachers to support learners with disabilities, especially during times of crisis or emergencies. And I was very happy to see that Dr. Hanani was here at this event because she was the one that helped to lead the development of these modules. So the modules that we currently have stress management and psychosocial support, which is very important because teachers have very stressful jobs, especially teaching in mainstream schools where you have diverse students. So they need to manage their stress properly and have proper psychosocial support. The other modules are utilizing different assistive technologies for children with disabilities, for different types of disabilities, developing emergency response plans, continuity of learning, and then the latest module is on disability inclusive learning assessment. Next. Another type of work that UNESCO is doing is the research. So we support our member countries to formulate and implement evidence-based policies and strategies to address exclusion in education. So these are just a few examples of the recent studies that we have published. First is the needs assessment of comprehensive sexuality education, professional development for teachers of learners with disabilities. So it's basically a review of literature and teacher training resources. And we did a lot of surveys and focus group discussions to come up with the findings and provide recommendations to governments for introducing promising practices to implement CSE teacher training in the different countries in Asia Pacific. The other research is on the early intervention and quality education of children with disabilities. It's not actually a research, it's more of a policy recommendation. So it takes stock of trends and good practices and lessons learned and challenges in promoting early identification and intervention programs to help improve the quality of education for children with disabilities. So that's also been taken up by the different countries as well. Next, please. And also in recent years, UNESCO Background has developed more than 300 open source digital books in different languages. For example, we have like 27 ethnic minority languages for Cambodia, Papua New Guinea, and Timor-Leste. And we also have more than 800 accessible reading materials for children with disabilities. And these accessible books are made for different types of disabilities. It could be it could function. I mean, it have different functions like digital braille or some other accessible features within the book. Mainly for Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Cambodia, Laos, Nepal, Pakistan, and Timor. So we're trying to improve and increase the number of books that we're doing so that children from the different diverse backgrounds, different disabilities could have these reading books as supplementary reading in addition to what they're learning in school. And eventually we're trying to also incorporate these into schools as well. So basically that's just a very short summary of what we are doing in the region. So I would just like to end my presentation. Next slide, please. With this quote. So every child, regardless of background or ability, has the right to receive an equitable and inclusive quality education. And that's what we're trying to do in the region. So if you have any questions, I will be here for the rest of the event. Thank you.
They really made major strides. Thank you so much, Catherine, for making major strides on behalf of UNESCO Bangkok in terms of intervention for early detection for children, as well as translating more than 800 books to local languages. Thank you so much for the effort. All ladies and gentlemen, if you guys have any questions, you guys can actually list down the questions. We can actually type it up, and later on we'll answer the questions. But right now, we'll proceed with our next segment and our next talk. And this talk is actually on the topic of how might we create an exclusive, I always say exclusive, inclusive future for people with disabilities in Malaysia. And just now, we had a little quick chat as well. We've altered the title, Founder and CEO, but we're going to change it, Founder and Mother of Oasis Place. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause to welcome Dr. S.K. Choi.
I'm very aware, thank you so much, and hello to our audience online too. I'm very aware that I'm standing between us and tea time, and what I'm going to do is to what Kai suggested, to go off script. It is just so amazing, this initiative provides a platform. I do have my scripted notes, so I'm going to go up and down, in and out, so bear with me. So when I spoke to the prep team, Paul, thank you for putting this title onto myself. I think it is really, when I saw Drew's slide of liberation, we are all here together trying to create that utopia. A little context of as I speak. So in Oasis Place, when the reference is to the largest transdiscipline, I must say, to thank my team, our largest really is more about the breadth of the type of experiences, intervention. We serve children right up to adults, and we are 10 years old this year. So what I'd like to invite us to do really is, if we can just see, if I can just tell our story and how the inclusive nation, I think I want to take it beyond a village. Yeah, we know about the village. An inclusive nation can walk that possible utopia that each and every one of us are here to try to do. I would like to start that future casting with acknowledging Judith Singer, the lady here, and she is a sociologist, and somewhere around late 1989, she coined this phrase called neurodiversity. Now, it has taken that long, and I'm just trying to illustrate in our work how much investment in not only finances and many other resources, but over time, I'd like to invite all of us to join what she coined as neurodiversity. I know my title is termed Future for People with Disabilities, and we need to honor that too, because there are many international conventions, many laws that have got underpinned with decades of work. However, if we can move away from here with another term that is affirmative, more positive, what Judith Singer helped us understand is about that collateral of biodiversity is when our brain, each and everyone is different, like our fingerprints, we are also diverse, I would say including myself. And one of my favorites, organizational psychologist, Professor Nancy Doyle of Birkbeck University, helped me put it, it's really helpful for me when she then helps us visualize the components thereof of neurodiversity. And that includes things, or rather terms or diagnosis. I'm trained medically, so I really appreciate that there is at a point a need for these functional descriptions, and they happen to be autism spectrum, they happen to be ADHD, and so forth. So somewhere along these combinations of social affirmative model, even at Oasis Place, we are learning the journey to, again, be inclusive and embrace both social and medical functional descriptors. Let me borrow statistics. I know when Dr. Hanani was sharing, and she was very clear to say, just be patient. That was only the statistics from the Ministry of Education. However, let me borrow UK first, then I'll move forward. In the UK, what this slides, this is National Autistic Society of UK. I think what we need to draw from here is another context I need to say is I'm very biased towards neurodevelopmental issues because of our personal and professional journey. However, what this is telling us, I believe, is there are 77% of neurodiverse individuals, adults, who desires to work. However, they are not at work. I think is either United Nations or the World Economic Forum, it is the World Economic Forum who states that only 20%, about 20% of any neurodiverse individuals are at work. I'm going to skip over this very, very fast, but just to note that there is a difference. This is Malaysian data, and as of last January, in 2023, about 637,000 individuals are on the register. Now, again, there's a lot of caveats. One of the challenges, and if you are a researcher, if you are from the universities, or better still, if you are a funder, please provide grants for us to create that future. Without data, we are really shooting amongst the forests, and we know with data, with evidence-based, we can be sharp. Now, this is from the Ministry of Health, and again, it is very telling that what we are addressing is not small. Statistically, sorry, I'm not a researcher, it is significant. So the adults, 1 in 4, that's 25% has got a functional difference or need. Yeah? At the children level, 2 to 17, I think statistically 5% is considered significant. So I think the conclusion here, we are all the converted who kind of continue to learn, is it is a significant matter, and we are needing to address it because it's from cradle to grave. It is undeniable that in neurodevelopmental challenges or physical functional challenges, we have to recognize it is lifelong. And with that, the good news, and I love affirmation, I know many parents and many adults are looking to be placed in work. My affirmative excitement or hope is there are already a lot of companies in Malaysia. These are just some of them which we can capture some sort of data because of job coach works and so forth. And you will see what is good is that there is a range of industries from manufacturing, from retailing, from hospitality. Please, what we need to understand, it is not only about baking, nor other. Now, please forgive me. What I want to share is there are huge possibilities. If you are a potential employer, one of the positive attributes, or there are so many positive traits of neurodiversity, is they are very focused. They are very loyal. They are very detailed. So where do we put that? How about cybersecurity? So we are so excited when Malaysian Petronas started their scheme of neurodiversity at work, supported by big names are easier to recognize, by NCOE, Center of Excellence, Neurodiversity Center of Excellence by EY. You will recognize that name. But there are many, many initiatives, small, larger, and we all want to be part of large ones. But in Malaysian language, sikit, jadi bukit. So we need to start somewhere, and there have been decades of investment, of time, of research. But what we like to invite, one of my favorite professors of special education, who himself, when he was a child, was given to mental retardation. That was, I think, his diagnosis. Is now a professor of special education. Professor Stephen Shaw shares that you need to have those 4 A's, whether we are at the awareness or acceptance, moving then to appreciating the talents, maybe even appreciating the difficulties, and then we act. I believe each and every one of us, and even our audience online, are on that journey already. So, thank goodness we have UNSDG goals, because it helps. When Paul said, Dr. Choi, you futurecast, I said, Paul, we are perhaps at a very, in Malaysia, I would say, this is that dichotomy. Because we are small, we get to leap. And I believe that's what the walk journey of some of us, we have so many tokoh right in our midst. I'm so humbled that this platform has been provided. Dato Fatima, I want to say thank you. She's very quietly there, the governor of Kiwanis, Malaysia. And many of you, forgive me if I can't mention your name, but the fact that you've taken time here says Malaysia is definitely ready to move this on, and we just need to move preferably much faster. So the UNSDG goal there, if I just go back a little bit, you know, this is so amazing because it just helped us coin the language. Having a common language will take us from small to larger. The language is very, very important, and we thank the ESG goals now, the environment, social and governance impacts that we are supposed to be delivering at the corporate. I am now shouting to the corporate. CSR, please, needs to be moved to ESG. And for us, we implore you to work on social impact. Because look at how many goals. I'm not sure whether I should really circle everyone. When I first started learning about ESG and UNSDG, I circled 3. And even as I continue to learn and work with our individuals who are different and typical, we know that this is a great frame of reference for future casting. Let us now allow me to share the walk journey, what is on the ground that our team at Oasis has experienced. Sheltered workshops with industry. This is also one platform. I know, especially now online, we have many international audience. You may already have closed all the sheltered workshops. But the reality for Malaysia is sheltered workshops is a very important holding space for many, especially the ones with higher needs of support. Let me see if I can trigger that. So what you are observing is the individuals, the students will go to the sheltered workshop like pergi sekolah, going to school every day, or going to work every day, and they will, and they are able to work. There are many demystifying we need to do about access to employment. Let me move on. So look, it has moved. We need to be encouraged. There are now, and that's my team working with I will name him because we are so proud of him. And Shafiq, if you are listening in, he's at work. So Shafiq is, I think, he's 30, and with job coaching, job matching, and constant support, he entered a program that a software development company interned him, and he has now successfully transited into employment. And that doesn't happen overnight. It took him a year of internship because that was what was required for his situation. And they are a very happy employer who has asked Oasis, may I have the next individual? And that requires advocacy training, not of the individual who is different. It requires the rest of us who are surrounding them. Otherwise, that's what happens in many of the situations. I always say we keep training the guys who are different. We forgot to train the guys who are typical. So please allow us to go into your office, into your schools, and I thank many of your aspiring neurodivergent advocates right here that you are sitting with us in a very precious time that you may not even have to hear us out. Again, I'm going to get there, and these are some of the work we have to do, and we continue to do. This is with, again, a very forward-thinking ministry. Ministry of MIP. Forgive me if I forget your full name. I've got so many ministries that we work with. This is the planning industry, ministry where they look at infrastructure, how you build house, how you do your greens, and the door opened for us to create a series because they really, really wanted to know if they were going to design our universal design spaces, your gardens, your shopping mall, what is it that is needed? And they even then endorsed it with professional development points. So that is one type of opportunity, and we ask now if you are anywhere listening to this, whether you are here in Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, UK, open these doors for every different advocates, trainers. There is so much free things. However, somebody has funded that. So some of these does need commercial funding, not only grants, not only scholarships. It needs commercial funding. So with all these opportunities, we keep getting invited. By the way, let me pull back a little bit. We are also a typical therapy center. We are that too. Our team deliver therapies. However, we need to step out of our safe spaces in our normal working space now, so that we can reach out, as I said, to the different stakeholders. And the stakeholders has been generous. Generous because they opened their doors to give us time, who otherwise the HR manager is saying, that doesn't contribute to KPI. Where is my ROI? The ROI is tangible and intangible in when a big pharmaceutical company says, we need to understand what is neurodiversity from many facets, economic facet, social facet, well-being facet, many, many different things. You see very clearly AirAsia is, and they have been very, very strong employers of PWDs. However, what Tan Sri Tony said, so can you help us with this neurodiversity thing? We don't know what it's all about. Why? Because it's a hidden disability. And that's the challenge, because we all look so typical. So the expectation is, come on, why are you lazy? Come on, where is your report? Okay? And because of that, there is a lot. The good news is we have a lot of work to do. It is unlikely that our team nor me will be pensionkan even. I've just talked to the team about what does pension means, or actually that is retirement. There's just so much work for us to even think about that, and including big corporates. I do want to mention them because they are leading the way. Lend-Lease, internationally, has engaged us, not from Malaysia. However, we get an opportunity to speak to their regional team online. Thank you for online. It has been a great advocate, a great platform for us to do what we need to do. The universities, and we are so grateful in Malaysia, and I'm going to name them because they are very, very important stakeholders. You just see quite a few logos here, but I know, Prof. Liza, I know, I hope you're listening to this online, UITM, and I know Dr. Shubhashini is the UM. I'm so sorry if I don't mention your name specifically, but it is so important that the universities come into the fold because we need data. The very fact that you've heard that data is confusing is because we have data in different places from different ministries, from welfare, from Minister of Women, from Minister of Health, from Minister of Education, and we hope the Minister of Labour is going to start collecting data. And that is not going to be adequate because I will explain that one day I met, at that time, Dr. Mazli, sorry, I forgot his, somebody help me, Minister Malik Ali? Mazli. Thank you so much. Forgive me if you're listening in. So he just said something that hit me right everywhere. It is not about education, it is not about health alone. It is multi-agency, including the Ministry of Finance and every ministry that you think about, because our brain is complex, and so the matters are. Let me come closer to a close. So I and my team always draw from the stakeholders who are running ahead of us. This is a fresh report, but by soon, I think by this, where are we? We are February. By April, and I'm part of this research team under Birkbeck University. I volunteer my time so that I can learn with amazing people under Professor Nancy Doyle. And last year, they did quite a national survey of neurodiversity at work. And this outcome says that please provide for us to come to work these 4 components, yeah, which are all possible. But we need to be aware what they are, and it is not, it's not about knowledge. It's then how does this translate to training at the workplace. Let me now, this is coming to, I need to pull a couple of videos. I think I'll start with this because this is part of what living through an experience of inclusion may be, and it is terribly pleasurable. Let's try this. So every year, you know, in April, everybody celebrates, and then globally, Neurodiversity or Autism Month is celebrated. And that's Dr. Ufa, when she was the senator of OKU, for our guests who may not be aware, who are international, Dr. Ras Adiba is the person. And it takes many. I'll be quiet for a while. That's HR Director of Petronas. And we invited the panelist of a non-profit group, Inyu from Big Utility, who transited from a non-profit group over time to become a social enterprise so that they can be self-funding. We also have Pan Mas from Petronas. We also have an individual who is on the spectrum and has been working at Uniqlo, who is an amazing employer, for the last 8 years. And Stephanie here, this lady from Singapore, I bought beautiful piece of very nice woman. From her, we started chatting how she has a team of artisans who are autistic, and they handmade the jewelry, and it is available online. It's called Eden and Beauty. Please go visit it. And all the models that you see here is an inclusive team of neurodiverse individuals, of beautiful typical models put together, and I would say the university team looking very intrigued on Nori Abdullah. So the panel shared their journey as an individual, as a NGO transiting, as a corporate going into this, and I can only say the emotion for me is pride, happiness, joy, many things. As the KLK Foundation team, who we are so grateful that even as a private company, Oasis is getting funding, and we are on the ground with 4 government schools doing school visit services, going to the teachers in PPKI, the integrated school. We want to show that this is part of the future casting. And everybody here will have opportunity at a different stage on the 4A or soft floor, and at your own capacity to include everyone around us. So let's get then to the serious 4 things of I'd like you to please have this call to action, which have already been shared by Dr. Hanani and our earlier speaker online. Policies, awareness in education, infrastructure development, employment initiative, just walk that path. And because it is so consuming, no one group, not one group of ministries, not one private individual group, it needs to be all of us. Because we are not defined by our disabilities, we are all human. So, I am really going to conclude, this is conclusion 2. Let me leave you with this one, and then I'll conclude. Make that loud.
Accessibility. Accessibility is a driving force in the creation and adoption of new technology. Many of the tools we all use today were fostered by the disability community in the past. Today, with the help of AI, we can speak to our devices.
Hey Siri, set my morning scene.
It's currently clear and 71 degrees. Today's high will be 80 degrees.
Open weather, swipe left.
Today, our devices also talk back.
One face, small face, focus lock.
People with disabilities were a driving force for the evolution of computer speech, from the first talking books to assistive devices. Today, our devices can see and read.
Began to sing. Jack opened his eyes.
I have wrestled with the alligator.
The very first recognition device was influenced by blind and low vision people.
2 doors detected. Text to stage. Door 4 feet.
And there's much more to come with advancement of generative AI. Inclusion is innovation. Accessibility is innovation.
there is a video credit down there for Apple and Microsoft. My team just grabbed it, and because we are now even at intervention centers, if we don't move with AI, it won't be able to it won't enable us to move faster. So, in conclusion, we always come and work with the differently abled ones, and we think we are serving them. But our amazing learning is how, of course, the first family circle of support is very precious. And without the community and all of us in education, in healthcare, really what we are just trying to get a chance is to be part of that community. And as we know, even until today, even if you work from home, there is some identity tied up to being at work. So I say thank you for listening in, and it's tea time, I think. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Choi. Fantastic talk indeed. Well, as a matter of fact, right, here's your cell phone. I think I know one of the, when I glance through the video, I think I know one of the people right there, Iliana Ifendiva, right? So, and I do agree with Dr. Choi's one statement as well, that this is it's a long ongoing process, right? It's not just one day, from training all the way until employment. On a personal note, I do have experience with Uniqlo staff, as well as the big corporations such as KFC as well. And I can tell you one thing, they are really dedicated and they're really hardworking. So in conclusion, please give us more grants, right? All right, so ladies and gentlemen, due to time restriction, we're going to continue with our next segment. This is a online segment. Kindly direct your attention to the screen here. And the next topic that we'll be discussing is restructuring and reorganizing schools and the education offer to make them truly inclusive. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause. Let us welcome Mr. Tristan Williams.
Hello, and good morning to you all from fairly warm Bristol here in England. Thank you for your kind words. Thank you for your introduction, and also a huge thank you to Dhruv Patel and Paul Keenley-Side from the NISI group for inviting me this morning. I'm a huge advocate of supporting children and young adults with special needs. I sadly lost both my parents at the start of the global pandemic, and I have my own sister who also has special needs. Therefore, it's part of my life. It's not just my day-to-day job. And also, I'm a huge advocate of making sure that children have extraordinary days every day when they come into our schools. So a little bit on me and my background initially. I'm hoping that you can see my slides okay. So just a brief introduction on myself. I'm Tristan Williams and I'm the Deputy Chief Executive Officer for a trust of schools in Bristol in England. Currently we have about 850 staff members and 4,000 children. All 9 of our schools serve areas of significant deprivation, but today I'm going to talk and focus mostly on Venturers Academy, which is a school specifically for children with a primary diagnosis of autism. And the school has grown significantly in the past 4 years, from 95 students. It's currently got over 250 students, and it will grow to just over 300 students in September. But there is currently a significant difference between the numbers of boys that attend, which is 79%, compared to girls, 21% currently enroll. And 70% of the pupils in that school currently live in the poorest 1% of communities in the country. Now, what is the ethos of our special school? It's crucial that the parents are involved in all our decisions. It's important that the parents' voice is heard, and all our parents play an active part in improving school life. For our staff members, we want our staff members to experience full job satisfaction as autism specialists and feel supported to grow in their own development. We want our students to feel happy. We want our students to feel safe. And by feeling happy and safe, they can fulfill their potential as human beings. We want them to come to school to learn, and they are central to everything that we do. And our local community, we want to work together to improve life chances for all, one student at a time, which ultimately empowers all members of our school community. So as the national picture currently here in the UK, currently what the latest statistics are telling us is that 80% of children with autism also have a mental health difficulty. In 2017, 1 in 10 children had a mental health need. Currently in the UK, 4 in 10 children have a mental health need. That's a significant increase. The latest statistics also sadly show that self-harm has increased by 161% in comparison to post-lockdown figures, and eating disorders have increased by 600% between pre and post-lockdown. We're also aware that currently bullying and loneliness are the top 2 concerns of children. And that survey was conducted with 43,000 children throughout England as a country. We're also aware that persistent absence is 2.5 times higher in our schools nationally than it was at pre-pandemic. And the survey by Epicure currently shows there are 80,000 children that are born pre-33 weeks in our primary schools in England and Wales. And those children have a neurodiverse profile. So the key message I have this morning, colleagues, is the profile of our children has changed. The profile of our children is changing. And as educators, we are the guardians of their childhood. Are we doing enough? Are we delivering for our children? Clearly, working in specialist education these days is tough. We have to make sure that we look after our workforce. But there's one key area that we may all have difficult days, but the strength of the team will bring us through, so we can keep on focusing on delivering extraordinary days every day for all our children. And I quite openly say to my staff members, some days you may well see me struggle, but you'll never see me quit. So the curriculum visions and the aims in our school. We have children and learners between the ages of 4 and 18. We want to develop not just great teachers, excellent and world-class teachers who bring joy into the lives of the children that they serve, but all with an expertise in reading, writing and maths. And why this? Well, we're all aware that children learn how to walk. We're aware that children learn certain skills. You know, if we look back at the evolution of the human race, human beings do certain things naturally as part of progression. But reading, writing and math is something that has to be taught. Something that has to be taught by staff members that make reasonable adjustments. Reading, writing and math is something that has to be taught on a daily basis, especially for those children who have barriers to learning. We have to make that learning enjoyable. We have to bring joy into the lives of our children. So all our teachers, not only to be subject specialists, not only to be autism specialists, but they must be able to be specialists in the development of reading, writing and maths for all our children, so they can access every part of the curriculum. Our vision is that all our children leave school with recognised qualifications. That's crucial so they can access the next stage of their education and to be fully prepared, or the best be prepared as possible for adulthood. And each phase within the school prepares students for the next stage of their learning, eventually preparing them for adulthood, preparing them for independence, ensuring not just equality but equity, so it lives and breathes every day. We all have high expectations of the children no matter what background they're from and no matter what complexity they have. We have to make sure that the curriculum is highly personalised and that we as adults, that we are dynamic and we are agile to meet the needs of our children and also to serve the community that they live in. We need to make sure that the curriculum is broad, it's balanced, therefore enabling all the learners to have experience of all subjects and again, creating equity. And it's crucial that our pupils have opportunities to engage with the world, that we use their special interests to develop a joy in learning and that we engage constantly with their communities. And all the work that we do needs to reflect their own experiences, enhancing cultural capital so they become global citizens who respect diversity and the cultures of others. We're also huge advocates of giving our children experiences of going all around the world. We've taken children to the high Arctic, to the island of Svalbard in temperatures of -40. We've introduced children to the Maasai warriors in Africa. We've taken children above base camp in the Himalayas. We've taken children cycling around the Alps in Europe. And in 2019, before the pandemic, we sailed a sailing ship that took us 2 months to sail around the whole of the UK. Again, I'm a big believer that building real life experiences develops an understanding of the world is crucial for our children. And we can do this by visiting some of the remotest and challenging places on Earth. And even if we can't do that in person, we can actually do that from a variety of electronic means these days as well. One crucial thing that we've worked on in school recently is deliberate practice. And I constantly refer to my colleagues about permitting what you promote, that every minute of every day, you have to focus on the small things that make a real difference. Focus on the small things that really matter. And a quote here from Sam Strickland, who is a well-known behaviour expert here in the UK. It is dangerous to assume that both pupils and staff will simply know how to act in a way that we expect. Taking the position that pupils and staff will just learn is a naive one. You have to continually narrate, train, and model the expectations and routines that we wish to be exhibited by both staff and pupils alike. This includes preparing children for learning. And again, I feel that this quote by Jane Ayres, one of the founders of sensory integration therapy here in the UK, the brain locates thoughts and orders sensations, somewhat like a traffic light directs moving cars. When sensations flow in a well-organized and integrated manner, the brain uses those sensations to form perceptions, behaviors, and learning. When the flow of sensations is disorganized, life can be like a rush hour traffic jam. Therefore, generating and creating clarity of purpose is crucial. Co-constructing our model of teaching and learning. Co-constructing how we link learning, how we chunk the learning, how we question for learning, how we scaffold the learning, how we develop independent learning opportunities, how we show learning, and how we know learning after lessons and several weeks. And clarity for all staff members, including parents, children, and staff members, come back to my previous point of deliberate practice. And finally, our therapy model in school. I refer back to the current challenges we have in our schools with children showing more significant mental health challenges. The importance of having co-constructed, co-delivered therapy work in school. And this work needs to happen 100% of the time. So we ensure that our children are healthy, that their well-being is being optimized. So we have more speech and language therapists in school than we have ever had before. Occupational therapists in school, a range of psychotherapies from art to music to sandry to creative therapy, and that we develop a universal offer for all our children every day in the classes with professional development and training for our staff members. We call that Wave 1 universal offer. Also ensuring that we have a Wave 2 targeted and group offer in our school, and also making sure that we have Wave 3 specialist intervention, which is delivered and co-constructed by our clinical psychotherapist and clinical therapist here in school. Therefore, delivering a true lived experience of multidisciplinary work. And just like the previous guest speaker said, we can't do this alone. Ultimately, I'm an educationist. I'm not a clinical therapist, and I'm not a clinical expert. But I'm a firm believer that together, through sharing our ideas, by sharing our disciplines, we can deliver truly world-class education and therapies to the children, which comes back to one of my previous points of ensuring that all our children have extraordinary days every day when they come to school. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a short 5-minute intermission. If you guys would like to go to the toilets, we do also have a tea break session catered for you. So please be here within the 5-minute mark. All right, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we do provide a tea break with refreshments. So I kindly invite all the delegates and also the guests to turn towards the sides of the conference room and enjoy the tea break with the organizing committee. Kindly do note that due to time restriction, we'll be having a 5-minute intermission. So I will see you guys soon after 5 minutes. And next up, we have from the Inclusive Outdoor Classroom, the CEO, Ms. N. Subaishini Sivanathan. And she'll be talking about delivering outstanding practice in inclusive and SEN education in Malaysia. Stay tuned and let's see you guys soon.
Nisa has a history of support for special needs children. I've asked Safiyuddin. He said he likes the class. He enjoys it very much. What I noticed with Nisa was the classroom was very small and the kids were very nice to him in the class. They talk to him and they welcome him, so I can see him laughing as well, which is good. And the teacher is also very engaging. So he said he really likes his teachers in Nisai. I am surprised that for an online school, the lessons are fun and the teachers really know how to talk to the students.
I felt that it was a good experience. I liked it. It's been enjoyable to study and learn with them. The most impressive thing is that the way you can manage all these international students from all over Asia or the world, and then make them all sit in one class and study with the teacher. I feel like it's very hard to have so many international students and then you put them all in one class. So I think that's what I'm the most impressed with.
You feel comfortable in answering. You other times in previous classes I had trouble asking questions or doubts, but in Nisai it's much more open. You are nobody judges you.
Theo con là đáng nhớ, hiệu quả và thiết thực ạ.
Happy, excellent, and meaningful.
I would like to say thank you for all the things you taught me. Thank you for giving me an enjoyable time, as this is the first time I've started or experienced an online school that's abroad. And I would like to thank them for being so nice and kind to me.
I am very grateful to Miss Kai, Smith, Elisa, Mr. Calvin, Mr. Andy for teaching, supporting, and accompanying me for the past 2 years. I feel really appreciate that, and I love you guys so much.
So thanks for all the teachers for being patient with me during the class. This was my first time studying AS and A level, so the knowledge is quite still new to me, and it took me like a long time to get used to it. So I really think that there are different teachers, they have different methods that they use to fit with different students' ability. So that's the thing that I really like the teacher in this side.
I hope that you all will be able to study. Hope that you will have an enjoyable time, a fun time with all your new friends and teachers, and get to know more about the world while communicating with them. Thank you.
I hope you guys, for the new students, can have a great experience studying here and have a great time interacting with teachers and the students. Be open-minded and don't pressure yourself too much while studying here, and have fun.
next segment is delivering outstanding practice in inclusive and SEN education in Malaysia. Well, before we start, I kindly implore everybody, the esteemed guests, to please come in and please be seated. And at the same time, please put your phones on silent while the speakers are delivering the talk. Thank you so much. We will allocate another one more minute. One more minute. Well, ladies and gentlemen, kindly please be seated for 1 minute and we will start the next segment in 1 minute. Thank you. And at the same time, we would also like to ask the workers in the background to kindly ask all our distinguished guests to please be seated. Well, I think that externally we don't have any speakers, so I kindly ask upon all the workers to come here to please be seated. And we're going to start our next segment. Thank you. Oh, it's just received news from the management team as well. If you guys would like to enjoy your tea break, I think we're going to allocate a little bit more time. So if you guys would like to just enjoy your refreshments and tea break, you guys are free to do so, just outside of the conference room. We're going to allocate additional 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Thank you so much for your time.
I wish you every success for your forthcoming studies with us, and just wanted to share some hints and tips of what you might find helps you be successful this year. So first of all, I would encourage you to always check your student email regularly to keep updated with your teacher. Also check out the MBA course sites, because that's where you can download your course materials and PowerPoints from your lessons. And of course, regularly check your assignment feedback and take any actions on things that the teacher highlights on there for you.
I'd like to welcome every freshie to a wonderful new year here at NISAI. So as you're going on your NISAI learning journey, feel free to ask as many questions to our teachers as you can. The more questions you ask, the more answers you give, the better the teacher knows about your learning ability. So feel free to ask as many questions as you can.
Here at NISAI, enjoy your lessons, enjoy your time at NISAI, and enjoy learning with your classmates. Even if it's all scary at first, your teachers will do whatever they can to support you, alongside with the whole team at the NISAI Global School. We have so much to offer, and we would love for you to be part of it.
Before you start learning any side, you will need to apply for a place, and we at Listen Team will assist you in processing your enrollment. After you receive our offer letter and invoice, we welcome you to join our induction sessions to be guided through our learning platform, Nisai Virtual Academy, and know how to interact in a Nisai online classroom.
We are in charge of monitoring students' learning progress. The most outstanding and significant features in our student support procedure is the personalization. We are taking care of the students' learning based on their own ability and are not comparing students with each other.
Besides, to help parents and students stay updated with the latest information, we also have weekly reminders, summary reports, end-of-term reports, and parent meeting sessions.
We will support students in exam preparation and registration, and offer university counseling and other relevant information for students.
At Nisai Global School, you can upskill and widen your social circle with more than 20 interactive clubs.
Showcase your talents in competitions and special celebrations.
And many more are awaiting.
My lesson starts at 6:50 p.m. So normally I will be getting ready with my laptop at 6:40 p.m. If I cannot attend the class, I'll watch back the recordings before the following class.
Setting up for success begins before you even log into your virtual classroom. Ensure that you have a stable internet connection and find a quiet, conducive environment for your studies. Minimizing distractions during class time will help you stay focused and engaged with the content. Being prepared and organized beforehand will make you learning experience much more enjoyable.
Make sure you have submitted all your assignments related to the subjects before the class starts. It's important to make sure that you did them before class.
Participate. Connect with your friends, talk to your teachers, answer questions. You could do anything to participate in class.
It is really good to share our idea with classmates. They are so sweet, kind, and clever. We can learn a lot from them.
One can always refer to the video recordings, conduct their own online researches, and ask their parents for help and teacher if needed.
I would really recommend checking emails. You could actually do it weekly, once in a couple of days. It's up to you, but I personally check it twice a day to see if there is any new information or updates or assignments.
One of the incredible aspects of attending Nisai Global School is the opportunity to connect with students from all around the world. Embrace the diversity and make an effort to socialize with your international friends. Engage in online chats, group discussions, and collaborative projects.
And you could also join the extracurricular activities here at Nisai. I highly recommend you to join the clubs. They're really fun and you can make a lot of new friends from there, and you also learn more about the clubs itself in general.
I'd like to introduce to you a method for prioritizing your task. It can be used in time management, in class, before class, after class, and so on, even when you're doing your test. It goes like this. From the lowest to highest priority, you have not urgent and not important, important but not urgent, urgent but not important, and lastly, urgent and important.
I will always make a to-do list with due dates and paste it on the wall. This will serve as a reminder for me to avoid procrastination.
See you at Nisai Global School.
NISAI has a history of support for special needs children. I've asked Safyuddin. He said he likes the class. He enjoys it very much. What I noticed with NISAI was the classroom was very small, and the kids were very nice to him in the class. They talk to him and they welcome him, so I can see him laughing as well, which is good. And the teacher is also very engaging. So he said he really likes his teachers in NISAI. I am surprised that for an online school, the lessons are fun and the teachers really know how to talk to the students.
I felt that it was a good experience. I liked it. It's been enjoyable to study and learn with them. The most impressive
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, please kindly be seated. We will proceed. Our next segment, hopefully you guys are enjoying the tea break as well as the refreshments and beverages. But we will carry on. If you guys would like to enjoy it, you guys can actually go to beside the conference room, take a couple of dishes. You guys can actually sit through here and enjoy the meal. But before we start, I'd like to kindly just employ everybody. Please put your phones on silent, and while the speaker is talking, kindly take note that do not make too much noise while you guys are just consuming the meal. Thank you so much for the consideration. Right up, we're going to be discussing the outstanding practice in inclusivity and sending education in Malaysia. And for this segment, I think when the speaker is ready already, I would like to invite the CEO at the Inclusive Outdoor Classroom. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, kindly please give a big round of applause to welcome Ms. Ann Subhashini Sivanathan.
Thank you, Kai. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for listening to me, and also I hope you'll enjoy this presentation. This presentation is going to be a little different from what you've been hearing since 2 o'clock. They've given us all the statistics and all the data, so I'll definitely not go over that again, and I'll just talk to you about how we fix the problem at the Inclusive Outdoor Classroom, working with a group of people. Yeah. That's our logo. And the logo was actually designed by a child who does not have a disability. And because of her involvement with children who are different from her, she's come up with this. And if you look at it, there's someone on a wheelchair, there's someone without arm, and that's what inclusion is all about for us. And what we do at the Inclusive Outdoor Classroom is we train people who don't have disabilities to be more aware of what people and the families of disabilities go through. And why this program was actually set up is because I used to teach in the universities, and when I taught adult learners on inclusive education, and they did not understand it because they were going by the checklist in the book. Oh, if you have autism, these are the characteristics. If you have cerebral palsy, these are the characteristics. There was no place for that practical experiential learning. Hence, the birth of the Inclusive Outdoor Classroom, a root cause of an inclusive preschool. I'll read this for the benefit of those who cannot see from afar. The commitment of eliminating barriers to education and creating accessible and inclusive learning environments, as marked in the 2030 Agenda of Sustainable Development, is essential to leave no learner behind. While progress has been made, the inclusion of learners with disabilities in education demands going beyond access and providing adequate infrastructure. It is also a matter of assuring their participation, learning progression, and attainment, and creating safe and inclusive learning environments. One of the things when Mr. Patel was speaking earlier, he spoke about ensuring everyone is equipped. How equipped is our society? How equipped are our teachers? She has a name, But very often when she goes anywhere, she is known as the girl who has a funny ear. He has a name as well, but he's always labeled as someone on the spectrum. He's weird. He smiles for no reason. And she is very, very bright, but she's known as the weird one in her class. She has dyslexia. And he, super brainy for his age, speaks about world history, speaks about everything economists and politicians speak about at his age. He's on the Asperger syndrome. And people ask her, why are your toes different? Why are your fingers very stubby? She has mosaic Down syndrome. He likes Taylor Swift like any teenager. He likes stand-up comedy, but when he cracks a joke, no one understands because of his speech. And when he wants to go to a school that promotes inclusive education, he's not allowed because they said that the school is not accessible or he is not ready for the school. So it's a big question mark now. When you say you're an inclusive school and you don't take someone who moves differently, who has cerebral palsy, whose fault is it? And she's a dancer. She likes Justin Timberlake, and she likes a lot of things we all like. She has Down syndrome. Our story began in 2003, and the children you see above on your left, the boy, the girl, and the other girl, and in 2023, they still remain friends. So we get university students and their supervisors coming in, and they send their children, or rather their adult learners, to us for that experiential learning. And why are we doing this? Who is our target audience? Our target audience is really people who do not know anything about disabilities, because 20 years later, they will become policymakers. And if we don't start there, we're going to have this same conversation again. We're going to be bringing out data that is going to be even more extensive. How long are we going to be doing this? And if you have seen our curriculum, our Ministry of Education's curriculum, it's a good curriculum, but if you get a chance, it is available online. Go and see how much they speak about inclusive education. I know that it's going to be revised. And if you looked at the caregivers curriculum, it's a thick manual of 422 pages. Out of that, how many pages is dedicated to the care of a person with disabilities? Now that's our concern. That's really our concern. And what we have done with this grassroots program is that we work with different communities. We work with different universities. And one of the universities that we work with is George Mason University in the US, and also Towson State University in Baltimore. And what we do there is that we exchange programs. We exchange student learners from there who would actually come to our space. And one of the things that we can say about our space is that we have everybody there. Who's the everybody? People like you and me, people who have autism, people who have Down syndrome, people who have Asperger, people who are deaf, people who have cerebral palsy. The next question is that, how accessible is your place? Our place is not accessible. We are a cabin by the park. But what we did is, Dr. Choi spoke about advocacy projects, about building relationships, partnerships. So we knocked on doors. We knocked on doors of our local politicians, and we told them, now we are very strong in our sustainable developmental goals, quality education, SDG 4, SDG 17, partnership for the goals. Where are we? Mental health and well-being, it's in one of those SDGs, sustainable cities. It's all there. Now, where are we as far as creating this safe space for children without disabilities? But I would like to say this also. The young people who come and do their practical training in our space, 23-year-olds, 24-year-olds who have just graduated from psychology, from law, accountancy, when they come to our program, they stay far away. And initially, I was always wondering, why are they behind? I'm still learning as well. And they tell me, Auntie, I am scared. I say, why are you scared? That child is weird. That child is pulling your hair. Who is to be blamed right now? Where have we failed? We are not educating our young people. That's what I feel. And all of us here are like-minded people. It's easy to actually talk inclusion. We know what's the problem. We know what the data has said. We also know what NISA is doing. Wonderful work. But how about people who don't have the means? How about our teachers? What are we doing in terms of educating them? How many of them have the means to actually go to places that actually demand a fee to learn, to relearn? That's a big question mark. I feel for the families. You send your child for speech therapy, for occupational therapy, for behavioral therapy. AI has come in now, coding, the works. How do you afford that? Where is that one space where we can get the funding and we can tell people, listen, we want to train teachers. We want to train families so that the sustainability will be there. Their investment for this child is not today, from cradle to grave. Let me echo what Dr. Choi said, from cradle to grave. It's a lifelong thing. It's really a lifelong thing. So what we do here is that we educate people from the different disciplines of education. If you're a lawyer, come in and volunteer with us. What can you do? They would always ask me. It's got nothing to do with what I have actually studied for. And I said, no. How about thinking about championing for human rights? You know, because we are a rights-based program. We are not a charity model. And if you did engineering, how about designing spaces? We talked about universal design there. Dr. Hanani spoke about that one. How many of us know what is universal design? And if you were deaf, can you be in this space today? There's no sign language interpreters here today. It's not a criticism, but I'm just saying, if you were on a wheelchair, if you're a wheelchair user, where are you going to sit? Would you be able to navigate yourself to a seat of your choice, or would they be giving you a seat? These are questions we pose to our young people when they come, so that they become more aware of what needs to be done, what is not being done, and how they can play a part to be that change maker, to be the next generation where inclusion is just not a fancy word, but inclusion becomes a lifestyle for them. So what we did is, we recently received a grant from our local municipal council. So we did a survey and we spoke with stakeholders. And the most important stakeholder is the families. What are their concerns? We spoke with teachers. We spoke with the therapists. Because the people who come to our program and volunteer themselves are all people who are trained. We have a speech therapist, we have an occupational therapist, behavioral therapist, a psychologist, and people who are not linked to this allied help as well. We've got engineers, we've got lawyers, and we've also got parents or people like some of us here who want to know more about persons who are different. And so our book actually covers this thing. So what are we going to do with this book is that we're going to go around to the poor communities because we want to train the teachers there, and we also want to train the families there. And after training, we would set up a space where they can have that experiential learning, and that program can be sustained in that neighborhood. And those children will not be left out. They can get the assessments, they can get that individual educational plan running for them. And who's going to be doing it? our volunteers. Where are you going to get the funding? Now that's a job. You got to keep on knocking on those doors till they, label us, you guys are really professional beggars now. But that's okay, because that's what we got to do. And who are our partners? We strongly believe in public-private partnership. We've got funding from FWD Takaful. We've got funding from British Council as well, Selangor State Government, World Forum Foundation, British Council before, UNICEF as well. So these are all our partners who have helped us move the needle, taken this agenda to the next level. And our story in this book is a made in Malaysia story, because every time we get teachers and they tell us, this does not happen here, it just overseas. We don't see people who look like us. So we thought about it and we felt that local representation is very, very important. And these are children all from here. And that's the inclusive outdoor classroom. So I'm not going to talk so much about it. Technology has really advanced us now. So if you take your phone and scan it, it will just take you to whichever page you want to go. But, I'm going to change it a little bit now. We work very closely with our community. And, like I told you, we involved our local politicians and everything. And there was one day, our city councillor came to our program and she said, why does that boy look really sad? So I said, why don't you go and speak with him? And so she went and asked him, and she said, you look really sad. Why? And do you know what he said? He's on a wheelchair, whom you saw just now. He said, I cannot play. I can only watch my sisters play. And that's real. We all know play is a right for every child. Any child's right convention speaks about that, play. So what she did, and she said, what do we do? I said, we need funding. And she said, funding to do what? I said, we need an accessible playground equipment in our local park so that our journey to inclusion will be made simpler. If you don't see someone who's different from you, what would you do? Go forward? Or you'll take 10 steps back? If it was me before, if I see someone who is different, I will take 10 steps back. Not that I'm trying to be discriminative, it's just that I don't know what to do. So, so thankfully my training is in this, and I know what to do, but I'm still learning. I'm still learning to be better at that. And so what was done is that we wrote our local politician to our mayor, and we said, please, we need this playground. And so our mayor said, so how much? The first question, how much? And so we actually did that as well. And today, we are very proud to say that there is a playground equipment in our local community park in Subang Jaya, actually, which is made accessible for everyone. And when I say everyone, it's a multi-generational thing, because grandparents take their grandchildren out there, and sometimes even people like us have problems, climbing upstairs. So this park or this playground equipment has a very nice ramp where you can enjoy playing there. And children who don't have disabilities, when they see someone being pushed on the wheelchair up there, for them it's like, it's different. Because the playground is the best place, I personally feel, to combat this discrimination, because everyone is playing there. That's what our community did. And I know I only have 15 minutes, and I have a few more minutes. I just want to leave you with a video. Maybe the video can be played now, please.
Differently abled children are more likely to miss out on social activities and clubs, but at the inclusive outdoor classroom, inclusive education is provided where children with special needs come together, with typically developing children to learn and play side by side, with activities such as physical sports, music, and painting. IOC is a great platform that shows children with special needs are capable of learning. At the IOC, we promote equal opportunities for the children, regardless of what challenges they may have. Same opportunities for all.
With that, I want to say thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much for the wonderful talk, Miss Anne. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we'll kindly divert your attention to the big screen right here because our next segment, we have a very special video. It's all right, I got it, Miss Anne. On the stories of our students, and this will be a 5 minutes video. Coming on screen is a student from Vietnam, and he is studying NS3 with Nisai. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome Nisai Joey.
Hello, I'm To Tường Huy. You can call me Joey. I'm from Vietnam. I've been studying at NSI since 2022. This year, I'm taking English, Maths, and Science at NS3 level. So, I'm gonna share with you some reasons why I'm studying at NSI. First, I want to learn the Cambridge education program to improve knowledge, which helps me to develop my critical thinking skills and problem-solving skills when using English. Second, I can have more confidence in class to speak up and share my ideas in chat box. Also, the way I need permission from teachers to use mic helps me to practice being patient, which I am not usually good at. Third, because classes at Nisai only last for 30 minutes, I don't often get distracted easily and can focus well, which again is not my strong point. Finally, I'm able to have new friends from other countries and learn about different culture from them. I'll show you how my Nisai classes are. It is great and interesting for some reasons. The friends in classes were really kind and friendly to me because we can support each other. For example, when we had a problem about an exercise, we can discuss together in class chat. Also, the teachers are so awesome that I cannot stop listening and paying more attention to the classes. They are also creative, which they gave me some ideas to answer the questions. Nisai brings me a lot of benefits. Not only does the school give me much knowledge to develop myself, but it can bring me some new skills, including social skills, communication skills, personal skills in a way that I feel comfortable with. Thank you for your listening.
Hello everyone, my name is Muhammad Safiuddin. I'm 12 years old. I'm from Brunei Darussalam. I'm currently studying Math NS2 and Science NS1. I would like to share that the innovative approach of learning and the flexibility of online classes greatly appealed to me. I saw it as a chance to challenge myself and excel in my studies in a comfortable and supporting environment. I like that each lesson is only 30 minutes long, making it easy to focus and learn. The teachers make the class engaging by asking a lot of questions and incorporating plenty of activities. This helps improve our understanding of the subjects, but also keep us actively involved and excited about learning. Although I cannot see my classmates, they are all very friendly online, and they help provide a positive learning environment. The support team in NISA is brilliant. They're always available to assist us, whether it's providing delays, notifications, or troubleshooting technical issues. Furthermore, NISA classes have taught me to organize my day and manage my time better. NISA has also instilled in me a set of values that extend beyond academics, such as perseverance and determination. This has helped me improve my grades, especially for science, where I achieved grade A from an average C. I believe that these values will help me with essential life skills that will carry me after my time at NISA. For me, NISA is not just a place of learning, but a community where students are nurtured, supported, and encouraged to reach their full potential. Thank you.
Before file, I want you guys to give a big round of applause to Joey and also Saifuddin. Thank you so much for sharing your stories, all right? And ladies and gentlemen, right now we're going to carry on with the next segment, which is our next talk. And for this talk, we're going to be discussing about the creation of inclusive pathways in higher education. And for this, I'm going to be inviting all the way from Institute of Advanced Study from University of Malaya. Let's give a big round of applause to welcome Professor Dr. Yong Zulina Zulaina.
Thank you very much, Mr. Patel, Professor Dr. SK, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, or should be Dr. Carlyle will be saying first, or?
Right, hold on a second while we are reorganizing the slides.
Right.
All good?
Okay. Okay. All right.
A little bit of a technical issue right there, but I'm just going to buy some time by saying, how are you? All good?
I'm good.
Did you enjoy the tea session?
Oh, definitely. But I'm sure all of you are having a wonderful time with the great food there. Please enjoy. I think there's a free flow of food, so please enjoy. Break up us, or that was your lunch, or that.
I think for me, it would be my tea break and all.
Right. Okay, lovely. Thank you very much, Mr. Patel, from the NISA Group, as well as the British Council, for inviting to share my experience at the university and share with you some of the statistics. Unfortunately, I don't know whether this is a disappointment by not sharing any slides at all. So in the next 15 minutes, what I'm going to do is to recap, highlight some highlight some of the key elements, some of the key takeaways our esteemed speakers have talked about. First thing, the inclusion. We have seen earlier on some definitions of inclusion. One thing that caught my attention was a speaker online who actually mentioned that being inclusive is entirely different from integration. You remember the images that was shown? So I find it quite alarming in the sense that a number of us says, yes, we do have people of disability in our system, but they are really disintegrated. They are by themselves. So we have to have a very clear understanding of what inclusion means. And in some of the speakers have actually mentioned not just the definition, but alluded us to some of the key areas when we talk about being inclusive. If we can pinpoint to perhaps three main topics. Number one is celebrating the differences. Celebrating the differences, the uniqueness among all of us. A person might have disability, but that person would have an extra ability to be able, say for example, a blind person will be able to see quote unquote things. I take an example from at my institution at University of Malaya. As a public university, we do make a point to have WD as part of the community, as part of the working community at the university. So at the counseling center, we do pay special attention to have people PWD to be dealing with people with PWD, as what we have seen earlier on. Most of us, we thought we have that knowledge to be able to deal with people with PWD, which in actual fact, we don't understand at all. So my staff is visually impaired, but what I can see is that what makes him stand out is his empowerment. The way he speaks, a lot of the time, people do not realize that he cannot see at all. Amazing to see the power he has. Him being taken when we have the new students coming in, he will be taking care of a group of students with PWD, and the way he speaks, especially those with visually impaired, he will just move around the corridors telling mothers, say, oh, this should not be a problem, this is a toilet, and so forth. And a lot of parents were shocked to know that they are talking to a person who is visually impaired. This is all about having the empowerment. Unfortunately, I do not have the slide, but I can show if you see him, you will not be able to say, is this real person really blind? Because he knows his way around. Even in meetings, he would be sitting next to me and say, look at the person across the room. And I said, what do you mean sitting across the room? When he cannot even see. And he was talking. What I have learned throughout the years, he has got the extra senses. Might not be able to see whether he can smell, but he has that extra sense to be able to differentiate people. And I said, okay, if I walk into the room, can you tell? Yes, the way I put on my shoes, sometimes through the smell. So these are all the extra sensories that he has actually got that we, us, do not have disability. We do not have that. So this is all about having those of the special groups, people with special abilities to be part of us. Second notion of inclusion is it's all about breaking the barriers, breaking the institutional barriers, breaking the structural barriers. For us, for example, at the university, yeah, this is how I teach, these are my teaching notes, and that's it. I'm not going to do it differently if I have got a student who is actually, for example, blind and mute. There's no way I'm going to redo my PowerPoint, which I have used for 30 years. So this is all about breaking the habits. So inclusion means we have to break all sorts of barriers, barriers on the mindset, barriers of the institution and the community at large. In a nutshell, I think the best way to describe this is actually to celebrate the diversity among us, to be working together for a common cause, as one of the speakers have mentioned. It's all about humanity. If we are very clear on that, so we are all on the same page, and let's go and work together to how do we actually be inclusive, bringing the PWD as part of us. Right, the second part that I would like to share, unfortunately, is to share some statistics. I know, I suppose I'm glad I do not have the figures there, but I'm just going to share some of the figures. Again, these are figures, as our speakers have mentioned earlier on, are fragmented. So I'm going to add one more database, which is for higher education. Okay? This database is from the Graduate Tracer Study by the Ministry of Higher Education. Data dates back to as early as 2006. At that point in time, we were collecting data manually, but 4 years down the road, about 2010, we had it online. Data is essence. Data is very valuable. So for us at Ministry of Higher Education, try to understand not just the whole big data set, but the granular data, looking at subgroups of graduates, in this case, the students with disability. So what is the participation rate of people with WD at higher education? What is their employability rate? So some of the statistics that I've seen, I just kind of saw last night. Over the years, we have, the data over the years collects about graduates. These are all the data that we collect upon graduation. They need to fill in a survey for us to find out, are they able to get jobs, where are they now, and so forth. Yeah? So the data shows that the number of people with PWD at universities hovers around 1,000 plus. Last year, the data published in 2021 graduates is about 1,038. The year before, 1,205, and so forth. As opposed to the general population is about 350,000. So that translates to about 0.3%, 0.31, 0.28. That was the figure. It's very, very small number. Okay? Now, with that, if we further deep dive and see, okay, that is the number of PWD in public as well as private universities, what about their graduate employability? The data shows that the general data, about 350, the graduate employability, which is defined as those who are working, those who are furthering studies, those are furthering internships or waiting for placement, the percentage is about 85%, 85.6 and so forth. It hovers around that year in, year out. But for PWD, the percentage is so much lower, about 76%, 75, 76. So one issue there, employment prospect for graduates of PWD taking tertiary education is low as opposed to the non-PWD. Data also shows that what kind of courses do they take? They have finished Form 5 and then they go to tertiary, and some of them up to Form 6. So again, we saw very different profile as opposed to the big population. The graduate tertiary study shows that the highest number of students going into tertiary education is for first degree bachelor's program, followed by diploma. But for PWD, the highest percent is up to certification, CJL, a year and a half. So they are really taking at the very low end. Yes, there are numbers who are taking a PhD or master's, but the number is very, very small. Just imagine, the whole data set, about 350,000, about 1,038. So the number is very small. So what the data tells us is that we need to work harder to be inclusive, to make sure people with PWD are in the mainstream and not to be put aside, not to be differentiated on the opportunities for work. Yeah? Right. So I will not share further bogged down with that, but at least it gives you some information because you have already got the statistics of participation of PWD at the pre-university, the schools, as well as the primary, right? Next point I would like to share is some of the initiatives that universities have done. So I will take the case study at University Malaya. Okay. Yeah, it is an important agenda, as we have seen just now, as what Dr. YK has mentioned, the UN SDG 4, yeah? So we have taken it up to the next level, whereby once we have the students, PW, in our system, how do we mainstream them? Surely I cannot have an extra class for them. So we have to work very hard. One of the key things that I'm very proud of is we look at all the building at the university and have it audited at an international standard where it is compliant to the people with PWD. So we have done it all for most of the building, so that means for every student, they know which actually that is safe for them, which are the ones that is a no-go. We have moved on and tried to get other universities to come on board, and with that, we have brought the idea to a network of universities, which is called the ASEAN University Network. ASEAN University Network is a group of universities in Southeast Asia, plus also it's called ASEAN Plus 3, universities in Southeast Asia, as well as China, Korea, and Japan. So for University Malaysia, under that network, we spearhead the initiative for inclusive education by putting in mainstreaming PWD into the higher education. So we come up with a template on an audit profile for other universities in the region, in Indonesia and so forth, to have their buildings audited, to be compliant to that. So we have actually produced a charter by other universities will have that standard where it is safe for PWD, students with PWD will be able to go into buildings. It's all about building ramps. But then if you build ramps and if you don't refer to a person on wheelchair, it doesn't work. I don't know whether you see in some videos, you know, there's one university, they simply put it up and then get the top management to go on the wheelchair and it fell. That is very, very important. Any initiative, they must be part of it. So this is again one of the things that for us to be inclusive, to include them in making decisions, in designing where is the toilet, where should we put the ramp, how do we go about putting in a pavement. When we resurface the pavement, all the signs people will not be able to read through. So they need to be helping us to be making decisions. Another example that we have also worked on is on advocacy. So Alhamdulillah, with the help of Nippon Foundation, we have actually got a grant for the last 5 years to be training PWD to have the authority, to have the empowerment for a degree, a higher degree on public policy. So with the Nippon Foundation, we train disabled to have that master's program at selected universities to be able to advocate for change. The number has not been good, very small number. We take in a year for a master's of public policy, about 15 to 20, but the institution, Asia, some institution in Indonesia, Philippines are there. Like I said, these are stories where initiatives are made at the university level, and this is where for all of us to know, to share our experience, and I think Dr. Waiki, you have mentioned, at the end of the day, when we leave, how do we go about with this knowledge, working together, working collaboratively? And this leads me to the last point. How do we go about what is the course of action? What is our action plan? We know each other. For some of you, you have known some of the great works. I think this is a starting point for us to talk over coffee and see how do we go about collaborating to make it at a bigger scale, to have it more impact all these small initiatives, because at the end of the day, it is all for humanities. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Wow, what a great topic indeed. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, will be our last talk of the day. Oh, you can just excuse the humming for a while. And for the next talk of the conference, we would like to invite Ms. Kalaishovi Punambalam, which is the Executive Director of CQTC TVET College KL, on stage to discuss about TVET as also the inclusive education and best practices. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause to welcome Ms. Kalai Shilvi.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I have a real task here. Okay, thank you for staying back, for all those who are in this hall. I need to cut the long story short, as I'm the last speaker, and we are running late, I suppose. Okay, right, thank you very much. And I think I won't talk, I would rather read first what I have from the slides as well as my notes. Then if there is anything, I will elaborate as I go along. Okay, I've been in the education industry since 1984. It's almost, I think, yeah, exactly 40 years. Yeah, it's 40 years. All right, yeah. My goodness. And 50% of my, that means 20, almost 18 years, I was in the academic mode of teaching and learning. And since 2001, late 2001, 2002, I started exploring technical vocational education industry. I'm actually standing in front of you here as a stakeholder, as a training provider of Tibet education from the private sector. So I'm going to share some of the, Paul actually gave me a topic on best practices in Malaysia for Tibet education, as well as what's there for future. So I will touch on the two main aspects of that. Now, as for best practices in Malaysia, okay, I'm supposed to. Okay, I won't go through this introduction. Okay, these are some of the best practices we have in Malaysia. We have some officials from the Ministry of Education. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, so we have here some of the acts from the Ministry of Education which are put forth. And recently, we also have the Skills Development Department Act, which was put forth in year 2004. And for your information, the Deputy Prime Minister, who's now the guardian of Tibet education in the country, is putting forth a new act for Tibet education. I think it should be launched by June 2024. Now, all these policies are governing Tibet education in Malaysia. And some of the other, I would say, best practices in Malaysia, integration of special needs students. I think we have heard a lot this afternoon on inclusive education, people with different abilities and so on. But whatever said and done, I think it is still not enough in Malaysia. We have, you saw the statistics, Dr. Hanani. Okay, she mentioned we only have 4 vocational schools for special children, which is not at all sufficient, okay? We have the best practices, but it's not enough. And we have special education integration program for special children again, teacher training and professional development. Now these things, these best practices are more inclined towards the academic mode of learning and teaching. If you say TVET, although we have teacher training and professional development for TVET educators, again, whether does it address how to handle special children? So we need to, what shall I say, empower the TVET educators in the country, not just how to teach or train the normal children, but the special children. Okay, curriculum adaptations, ministry again, very consistently and constantly, they review the curriculum. They review the curriculum with the stakeholders like the industry players and so on. So here in this, in forming the curriculum, what I would like to say here is include all the stakeholders while they are developing the curriculum. Not just industry players, not just teachers or trainers, even the parents and student representatives. We have to now be more listeners than policy makers. We have to keep our ears wide open to listen to the stakeholders. Here when I say stakeholders, especially the students, the youth. Now in Malaysia, almost, I think in 2023, about 373,000 students sat for the SPM examination. Those who are in the 17 years age group, right? 373,000. And the previous year, 2022, was about 359,000, where we found about 30,000 students did not even sit for the examination. They avoided the examination. 30,000, it's a big chunk. And only about 2.69% got straight A's in the examination. About 77% only passed one subject. When I say only passed one subject, maybe they got an E to get that certificate. So that's a scenario here. Nothing is wrong with our students. Nothing is wrong with our students. They may not be in the suitable environment. So when the curriculum is formed, that is why I said just now, listen to them. Listen to them first. What do they want? Yes, we want to be in line with the development, the industry advancement, digitalization, everything. But we have to listen to them. What do they want? Where do they want to go? How do they want to reach there? So all this will help us to formalize a better curriculum. Community engagement and support, there is a lot done by the ministries. In Malaysia, I don't know whether it's a strength or weakness. We have almost, again, please correct me if I'm wrong, to my knowledge, about 7 ministries who are championing Tibet education. 7 ministries. So each ministry will have their own, am I right? 7 ministries yang menawarkan Tibet? Minister, yeah. 7 or 12, I'm not too sure, but minimum is 7. Okay, so imagine, with 7 ministries, we have Tibet education, the policies, because everybody wants to be the champion. Okay, if you ask me, there must be one umbrella, where all of them have to come under that umbrella. So I hope our Deputy Minister, Prime Minister who is championing Tibet, now will look into that. So awareness and advocacy. See, because there is so many ministries, so many captains who are looking into Tibet education, so even the creation of awareness and advocacy sometimes is confusing the stakeholders. Now, Tibet as a focal point, now in the last few years, the government is really going all out to create the awareness and advocate about Tibet education. The main reason, because what I said earlier, almost close to 400,000 youth who sit for the examination, almost 70% are not academically inclined. They are not academically inclined, that's all. So now, education system like Tibet here will open the doors for them. So we will not lose them from the mainstream. we will not lose this youth from the mainstream. We can still bring them back to the track. We will not lose our intellectual generation in the country. So TVET, in championing TVET, a lot of efforts and initiatives have been put forth very recently, very strong industry partnerships, and they have appointed advisory board, ILB, industry lead personnel, and to give them, what should I say, the advice to the policymakers in forming the curriculum, the system, etc. And there's another system called dual training system. In case if they don't want to go into full-time education, they can still be working and studying, work-based learning. So that is called as dual training system in Malaysia. Competency-based training is also happening. And lots of effort is put in quality assurance. Again, let me tell you, while all this is already there, but the standardization is in question because too many captains, too many ministries involved, too many different policies put forth. So this is sometimes confuses the stakeholders, whether the students, the parents, or training providers, which one to follow. And Ministry also emphasizes now on training TVET educators. TVET educators here in Malaysia, they call it in Malay Sijil Kemahiran Malaysia or Diploma Kemahiran Malaysia. TVET educators can only come from that particular qualification. If you want to become a TVET educator, you must have Sijil Kemahiran Malaysia or Diploma Kemahiran Malaysia with the vocational training officer's qualification. Again, when we are talking about inclusive education here to address this children, are our TVET educators ready? Are they equipped? Are they prepared? Are they trained well to handle these children? My personal experience, of course, I do manage a TVET institution. My personal experience, in a year, minimum, I will receive 2 to 3 students from this category. But I'm not trained. I don't know how to diagnose them. But I'm managing a TVET institution. So my appeal here will be for the policymakers to quickly, because we saw the statistics, it's so huge, to quickly come up with teacher training, I don't know what you want to call it, or TVET educators program. Not just the vocational training officers program, it is not at all sufficient. We need to have a special TVET educators program to handle the 70% of the children, as well as the special needs children. Then we will not lose out all these talents. Because in my personal experience, one year, I just want to share this case study. This boy, who's about 17, 18 years old, came to us with the parents. They actually wanted to migrate. They wanted to migrate out of the country. I don't want to mention the country, just because the son was autistic and he was bullied in school. The parents didn't know where to go. They didn't know about Oasis. Neither did I until I came here. All right? So this parent didn't know what to do with her son, who is 17 years old, and because of the embarrassment he was going through, the parents were going through, the family was going through. But what the mother did was, she found the strength in him, she found the skill in him. He was very good with carpentry work. So she converted her garage into a place suitable for him to do woodwork. She hired a carpenter to come home and train him. I was really pleased and really shocked to see the pictures of woodwork he has done. One of it was a Harley Davidson woodwork. Harley Davidson done with wood. And that was his ability. But the environment or the society or the community was not there to appreciate his skill, his ability, or his knowledge on that woodwork. I think even a normal person will not be able to do it. Finally, they did migrate. They did migrate. Because when she came to me, she was asking me, where can I put my son? What can I do with my son? Where can I take him? And frankly speaking, I didn't have that information. Thank you, Nisai Group, for inviting me here today. Right? I learned a lot. So at least I know where to direct them now. Right? So these are some of the challenges we have. The other one we can say, of course, when we talk about TVET education, the perception of the society or the community on the students who are pursuing TVET education. It's always the second choice, or maybe TVET education is the last choice, okay, because of the myth, the perception. They feel those who are pursuing TVET education are not intelligent. Let me tell you, my experience, 24 years in the TVET industry, they are superb. They are so skillful. They are so intelligent. They are so smart. You can train them just for 2 years and place them with a salary scale of 2,500 ringgit. Even a fresh graduate will not get that. Okay? That's my personal experience. So these are the students from the 70%. I'm talking about the 70%. I care less about the 30%. Because they know what to do. They know where they're going. They know what they want to do. These 70% are victims of the system. And I'm one of them. I'm one of the victims of the system. Where I was told, no, you can't pursue science subjects because you're not good at it. But I beat the system. The Malaysian university did not accept me. I beat the system. And I'm pursuing my PhD now in University Kebangsaan, Malaysia. See, the reason why we are talking from our own experience. We are dealing with these children for the last 23 years, 24 years. And we know how capable they are. So my appeal to the policymakers again, come together. Come together. Listen to the stakeholders. Review the policies. Open the doors for everyone. We can achieve, we have 17 goals in SDG. Let me tell you, 7 goals out of the 17 can be achieved if TVET is run the way it should be run. I think with that, I will not take much. So this is my appeal to definitely to the policymakers. So maybe you can take the message back. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Very well said indeed. Thank you so much, Ms. Kalai Shelvi. What a great talk indeed. I'll take that for you. Thank you so much. I think all the speakers that come here and they decided last minute, let's not go with the slides, let's just speak the truth. I think that's the best policy anyways, right? Thank you so much once again, Ms. Kalai Shelvi. All right, to bid us farewell, I think that's the end of the program already, but we would like to invite the CEO and founder of Nasai Group. Please come on stage right here to give us a closing remark. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause. Let us welcome Mr. Patel.
Hi, thank you for all being here so far. I really enjoyed this day. It was amazing, it was awesome. I loved it, and I just feel that we're all on the same journey, right? And I just felt really good about it. So thank you very much, all of you guys. You made my day. I'd like to thank everyone, all the presenters today. And I hope that in the past few years they have taken us all on a journey concerned with inclusion and equity. Where's my screen at the back? Guys, where's my screen? Equity. Come on, have my screen at the back. I want you to have that. I want to have that back at that. So when you go from here, you remember what we are here for. Okay? Absolutely. Chelvis talked about liberation. You talked about liberation. Everybody talked about liberation. There it is. We have to follow that. I think we recognize that one size does not fit all, and each learner will require different levels of support at different times of their educational and life journeys, including adulthood. This is self-evident. My needs as an adult learner today's technology-rich environment are vastly different to the needs I had at school taking my exams at 16. In the same way, my grandchildren's learning needs are vastly different to mine. And they will be different again when they reach maturity and old age. An equitable approach to education is based on understanding that our needs with time and experience, and there is a continued requirement for adaptation, differentiation. Being able to adapt and change provision in line with changing needs gives us everyone the same opportunities as their peers, and not just the same experience. Does an equitable approach in education work? We think so. 80% of the leavers in Nisai Virtual Academy in 2023 academic year were able to move on to further education at university, college, or reintegrate in mainstream college education. This will open the door for them to real opportunity and to gain social and economic outcomes with the qualifications they hadn't previously been able to achieve. For others, NISA Education Office has provided opportunity to travel across the world and compete in competitive sports, competition, whilst maintaining consistency with their educations. Others have been unable to leave their houses, and I can tell you that it's awful. And yet, with the support, they are completing their social activities and expanding their horizons. Others still have passed driving tests. They thought that was beyond them. And with additional support in literacy to be able to complete the theory test, equity in this sense is truly provided, liberation for these learners with increased social mobility. I hope that this afternoon we will have had the chance to think about what we can do to support the change, about the paradigm around inclusion, and to explain what equity might mean in terms of developing inclusive education and partnerships, using best practice in inclusive education pathways to better provide equity. What are the opportunities for inclusive and equitable education post-compulsory school education? And particularly how we can continue to open up technical vocational education. We now have the chance to network, connect with education, policymakers and industry representatives, and so build a mutual understanding for the potential partnership in developing this. An area of education market creating exciting opportunities to positively impact on the lives of so many young people, just as NISA Group has been able to do so with Oasis Group and Dr. SK, and the amazing Oasis Police organization. I'd like to thank the British High Commission for its support for the event. Thank you very much. And I think that was really amazing to have that support. Thank you. And the NISA team, and our wonderful NISA team, and everybody else, and ASTI team, and all the people at Oasis Place who are making this happen today. I'm really happy, and also for the team here at the Renaissance to support us, which has been brilliant. I think I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you very much, but before I do that, I'm sure there must be questions. If there are questions, I would love to take them on and I'd have other people answer them. I'm not the one who's going to answer. So any questions? But there was one question which came on the Zoom, right? Okay. So let me just get that Have you got it there? Two messages. Okay. Right, there are two messages. So one is quite a long one. It says Malaysia is still looking at inclusion in terms of materials and infrastructure, accessibility, whereas globally more initiatives are being given to improving the mindset of all people, especially in schools, communities, not to discriminate special needs students. Is Malaysia moving in the right direction? The mainstream still insisting on letting special needs groups themselves to take initiatives and actions without giving more consideration or accepting unconditionally. Who wants to answer that?
I think Dr. Choi is right there, just nodding her head.
Will, can you help me read that again?
Sure. Okay, okay, so it says Malaysia is still looking at inclusion in terms of materials and infrastructure accessibility, whereas global more initiatives are being given, improving the mindset of all people, especially schools community, not to discriminate special needs students. And then the question is Malaysia moving towards the right direction? The mainstream is still insisting on letting special needs groups themselves to take initiatives and actions, and without giving more consideration on accepting them unconditionally.
Thank you. Puan Zakaria, I believe. So from my perspective, my short decade in the industry, I believe Malaysia is very fortunate. I have to say this because I mentioned about awareness, the different stages. And I started to learn, Puan Zakia, that we need to be, collectively, everybody will be at different stages. Infrastructure is highlighted, not only on my point, but quite a few others as well, is part of it. So I think higher order economies, the more developed economies where this question is or has already more organized services, policies, they still will require fundamental infrastructure. So the way I look at it is it requires quite a bit. And the point of life is, it's not about special education needs. It's for everybody, and that's what the CMO, Dr. Hanani, sorry if I didn't get the name wrong. You see, universal design is addressing that. And guess what? When Malaysia is at the early stage of entering universal design, we are quite lucky. We were just talking earlier about older economies have to also deal with shedding what doesn't work. The newer economies, Drew, when I noticed that, this is an observation, I don't have data, a newer economy like Vietnam is able to spring on online education. Absolutely. Is because they belum ada, they don't yet have PDK, PPKI, and mainstream. They have education. So a long way of answering it is, I'm very encouraged, but that's me. I know there's a lot of walls. We have to recognize there's a lot of walls to break down. And again, I can only reiterate, it has to be together. And I'm again very encouraged when Dr. Aini reminded us that the new blueprint is out. Yes, it's a book, but the book needs to be done, not by the book, by us. Kan, Dr. Aini? Yeah, so sorry, a long way around it, because again, we are not only speaking to the converted. I believe this message, the voice needs to be constant. Hey, help me lah, please ask, keep pushing. And for those who are tired, don't worry, we are here to re-energize you. Itu dia. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much. There's another question here, which is quite an interesting one. Do you want to put that up from Indonesia? Right. What it says, right, with inclusive education policy in Malaysia, does it mean that there will be no special schools? In addition, what are the requirements for regular schools to be inclusive in Malaysia?
We'll open it to the floor. Anybody would like to answer that question?
Yes.
I believe
think
it's-
the director of SE,
I believe it's in your turf. The mic will be right here. Here you go.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the questions. I am not so sure whether I am the right person to answer the questions, right? We have people from EPRD as well and BSTP. Okay, well, we were just talking just now. I said I don't want to ask any questions because I know what happened in Malaysia. As Dr. Choi said just now, in the Malaysia context, we have this inclusivity. I would say we provide PPI, which is what we call Program Pendidikan Inklusif, where in the blueprint it was stated that 3 to 5 people with special educational needs learn in mainstream schools or mainstream classroom. This is what we call PPI, Program Pendidikan Inklusif. And then we also provide Program Pendidikan Kelas Integrasi, Special Education Integration Program, where we have special classroom, blocks of special classroom in the mainstream schools. They are actually in their own classroom, but sometimes we would encourage schools, people with special educational needs involved, participate in any school's activities like assembly, sports, in the canteen, buy things together and so on. That is special education program. We also have special schools for, basically in the past was for people with visual impairment and also hearing impairment. But now these schools were actually said that lacking of students, so we combine pupils. Although they are actually for that, those pupils, but we also have pupils with learning difficulties in that. Or dalam bahasa Malaysia kita sebut murid masalah pembelajaran, which I don't totally agree. Okay, murid dengan masalah pembelajaran. So with this, in addition, what are the requirements for regular schools to be inclusive schools in Malaysia? So this is really a hard question. I was talking to orang EPRD Dasar. I said they need to actually take charge about that because normally when we talk about inclusive education, it always actually goes to special education, special needs, which is actually, I said, is wrong. It's actually about everybody. So how are we going to ensure that? Even for me, this is my personal, I wouldn't say sentiment, but then from one point of view, medical system is also not inclusive for me because we are segregating pupils, right? So that's what happened. So when you talk about inclusive schools in Malaysia, that's the requirement. So now, if you want to say how we place people with special educational needs in the mainstream classroom, I would say we goes by the medical model one. See, we still say that people need to be able to read, sit down quietly, they can behave in the classroom, and then they can actually learn with everybody, then they are actually placed. So that's why I said it's not about the placement, physical placement, but how are we going to support the people? That's it. I wouldn't say that. It's not a comment, but that's what happened currently. We're trying to be better, and we are thinking actually how to improve. Of course, from our part, because I'm from curriculum development division, so we are trying to be more inclusive, looking at our curriculum, and then of course the operational part, the BPSH and then BP class is going to tackle about that. Hopefully that's answered the question then. I speak too fast. Am I?
That's good. Thank you.
I just want to add to what you said. See, the system, what she explained just now, it's actually the right system. You're not segregating the special children. They are still in the mainstream. So this will also help in the socio-cultural development of these students. They're not segregated. They will learn the values just like any other normal children. So we don't put them in the real special schools or special classrooms. They can be integrated. It will help in creating a healthy community or society. Yeah.
Because I let me just tell about myself. I was a mainstream teacher. I have taught at secondary schools, primary schools, and I joined special ed in 2005. So I knew all the process. Yeah. So, and I was actually mantan guru Cemalang Pendidikan Khas. So from my point of view, yeah, we can say that it is actually not wrong, but sometimes you can actually find schools with even a gate, although they are actually in mainstream schools. And then sometimes only certain people with special educational needs actually involved in that activities at schools. We say that because some teachers, even the leaders at schools actually understand that we have actually provide inclusive education because they go to schools. We provide education for them, although segregated like that. So for me, it's become exclusive. Yeah, it's not inclusive, but it's become exclusive. Yeah, we do understand that even for me, there's a challenge for us in the ministry to ensure that everybody at the ministry have the same understanding is quite challenging for us. Even our sector, our service actually quite challenging. So, of course, it is a big challenge, huge challenge for us to actually ensure everybody moves together, working towards the right direction from all the stakeholders in the education system. Even the schools, teachers actually understand when we talk about inclusive education, okay, we talk about people with special educational needs learn in the mainstream classroom. But what about the supports? What have you done actually for them? To be there, just place that physically? So they do, there's nothing, they gain nothing, right? So the policy is quite good, but pelaksanaannya, the execution, the implementation is questionable. Yeah. So in our context of Malaysia context, of course, this, as Dr. Hanani mentioned about, we have special education progression, integration program, the PPI, the special schools. That's our context of inclusive education. Yeah, so that's how. So whatever it is, the socially included and so on, it's a process. Because inclusive education is actually a journey. There's no stop, full stop. There's no full stop. So it's a process on how schools, teachers reflect on themselves to be more inclusive. I mean, they need to empower themselves to be able to empower the pupils, right? Yeah, Puan Mariam.
Or to be accepted into mainstream, which organization in the entire government provides the accommodation for the children to be accepted into?
So do you mean the boarding schools? Oh no, no, special education, accommodation.
Yeah, which organization provides the accommodation? So
Okay. Oh, how do you accommodate actually? Not the schools. Not tempat tinggal, right? No. Yeah, accommodate.
accommodation.
So, yeah, because
For example, a child needs 2 hours extra because she has a writing disability, so she needs to do keyboarding. or a child that has hearing impairment or audio processing issues, etc., etc. So you have accepted, the government has already accepted children into mainstream school. Perfect. I think it's wonderful, right? That's what you all have done. It's amazing. But which organization will say, okay, you have this accommodation for 1 hour, you have to sit separately because you're suffering from ADHD and you don't want to disturb the other children, you know. So which organization provides accommodation to the children of special needs? I'm just wondering. Yeah, who does that? Who does the accommodation?
I think the previous speaker has mentioned about this. We have Kementerian Pembangunan Wanita dan Masyarakat. We have Kementerian Pendidikan. We have Kementerian Kesihatan. See, we have different kementerian, different ministry. So everybody is actually trying to provide things. But then there's no, I would say, perhaps lack of coordination. Okay, from this one, from our part, Ministry of Education, when we try to provide or accommodate these students from our, from our where I come from, it's actually based, or I would say we focus on the curriculum. Okay, yeah. So we try to provide the pupils actually with more inclusive curriculum. So that's our part. And of course, from bahagian pendidikan khas, that one is actually from the operational part. How many teachers do we need for these schools? We have so many students, or what about the classroom, something like that. The facilities, amenities that is actually under bahagian pendidikan khas, I would say that. So when we try to say the intervention and so on, we also provide, at every state in Malaysia, we have 3 PK, Pusat Pemulihan Dalam Komuniti, where we have therapies and so on over there. Of course, it is not enough, but then it's an initiative. And when we talk about Ministry of Health, that one is actually based on the parents. Parents from the early age of their child age, they can actually go to the hospital, make appointments, and seek the physiotherapy, special, speech therapies and so on. So that one is actually Ministry of Health. So when you talk about Kementerian Pembangunan Wanita dan Masyarakat, I would say that they are actually more focused on, of course, about their rehabilitation centre. That's why we have PDK, Pemulihan Dalam Komuniti also. That one just now is 3 PK, different things. But then PDK is under Kementerian Pembangunan Wanita dan Masyarakat. And of course, the job coach and so on is actually under Kementerian Pembangunan Wanita dan Masyarakat. But of course, we have this kind of like similar understanding where we work together as well. In Ministry of Education, now we try to provide SKM, TJ Kemahiran Malaysia, where we focus not just, we go by modular. So that one is our part. So when you ask me which part or which ministry actually trying to accommodate, I would say these 3 ministries are actually working together. Yeah, we can say that working together sometimes, even though they are not actually, the same direction, or sometimes we have different argument and so on, but then we try to work together. We try to have that positive relationship to work and how to accommodate these people with special educational needs. I hope that's a tough one, because as I said, everybody is trying to be the hero, perhaps, maybe. That's perhaps my personal view, because sometimes it's really difficult to even get together, meeting and so on. Okay, get to the focal point. What do we want to do? What are we going to actually do to ensure that things move smoothly or positively towards the right direction and so on? Yeah.
Hi, sorry. I just want to inquire. I think in terms of the academic setting, under bahagian pendidikan khas, do you not have anyone like a counsellor within each school or a SEN unit within the school yang provide individual education plan that can provide or list down the customized accommodation, bukan intervention tau, accommodation, waivers, extra supports like differentiate teaching instruction, extra hours and all that. Isn't there anyone under bahagian pendidikan khas under MOE that does that?
Yeah. Okay, before that, just now I said PDK. PDK is Pusat Pemulihan Dalam Komuniti, right? Let me just, before that, let me answer your question after this, right? Yeah, 3PK is Pusat Perkhidmatan Pendidikan Khas. I forgot the full name, but I think I have actually said that correctly, right? PDK is under Kementerian Pembangunan Wanita dan Masyarakat, and ours 3PK is under Ministry of Education. So to answer your question, thank you for your questions. Is there any counselor or you would say interventionist? Actually,
Not interventionist. Not interventionist.
Yeah.
They do not for therapy. I understand therapy is the different person. This one dalam kelas. Dalam kelas, dalam sekolah, who decides and who programs and create that support, individualized, customized support to each special need child.
Okay.
Okay, maybe I can give you some context.
Okay, I do understand that process actually. I just came back. I wouldn't say I just came back. I came back from Australia last year in October. So in Australia, of course, they are more inclusive, right? They don't actually provide special education integration programs, special schools, something like that, because they try to accommodate people with special educational needs. Okay, so they have this support learning team. Okay, support learning team. Somehow they have like two kind of group. One who are actually the therapist, the medical part and so on, and the other one is about the education. Okay, that's what happened in Australia. And I would say that it's quite similar in the UK because I did my PhD in the UK. So that's what happened. In Malaysia, we actually, we try to train teachers to recognize, to identify what the people need. Okay, the new one, bahagian pendidikan khas actually has published, I would say, the new format of IEP, Individual Education Plan, because there are so many versions of IEP. So we have this new version, which is actually late last year, I think. Yeah, late last year was published. So teachers need to identify what is the most important things that need to be catered or tackled, to help the pupils, right? So that's what happened. So from this IEP, we have the short term, long term, and so on. So when we talk about these extra specialist expertise, then the teachers need to how to channel the pupils too, because they are not their field, so they don't have that requirement, they don't have that knowledge or specialties to do that at schools. So they are not therapists. So that's what we actually told our teachers. Yeah. In the UK. Yeah.
Aspects of it, right? So I've been doing this for 27 years, right? And pioneers in working with schools, local authorities, and education, central government as well. And I think and I can see the challenges on everywhere, right? And one thing which you made point, we've got a very good policies, very good guidelines, is how people execute them, right? And every school and every head has got their own ways of doing things. And sometimes it's about trying to get the right balance in place. And for me, it took me a long time, very, very long time, to get Ofsted to come and visit us, because we were not traditional school, right? But when they did come in, they loved what we were doing. Because for us, it was about the learner. It didn't matter to me. It was the learner's outcomes, which was important to me, right? How can we get that? And when the schools, we work with the schools, and when the schools decide to come to us, it's about the learner. It's the journey of the learner which makes it to us. And we, in the schools we work with in UK, we work with about nearly 1,000 schools. But it's about creating environments for them. Within the environment, we'll call our NISA learning zones, right? And we make that happen for them, because that's still the school's responsibility. Because school is the biggest community they have, right? We can't take them out of the community. We need to keep them in the community, right? So that's how we work, and it's a complementary bit. The other thing which is interesting for me is I also ran a private school which was from 5 to 19. And when we took that school over, it was purely parents were saying, I want my children. Because when they saw us coming into the school, they thought we were a special educational needs school. And we said, no, we're an inclusive school. Within a year, it was very interesting for me to see the parents of the normal children saying, my student or my child has learned different skills from these students, right? Because they were mixing together, they were playing together, they were helping each other. The empathy, the mindfulness was good, right? So one of the things which we're talking about here, about educating, learning, we were doing that within our school, where we had children with needs and children without needs, right? And it was amazing for me to see that. Unfortunately, COVID put a stop to it because we had to shut the school down. But it was a really amazing way to get it in. And inclusivity for me is about making sure that even on our platform, when they come on, nobody knows what age they are. It's ability, differentiation, and you talked about teacher training and differentiation and getting that. And we also have, on our side, we have special educational needs, SENCOs. And in the UK, I don't know whether you have that here, but in the school, they have, every school has to have a statutorily, a SENCO, right? Who is responsible for the well-being of these children, right? And it's a statutory requirement. So there are certain things which are there, but I think it's also, the parents have to be part of that stakeholder. When we talk about, if you look at this, I don't know whether you saw one of the slides, when our partnership with Oasis Group, Oasis Place is very simple. Every child matters. There's a child matters. There's a team around a child. And part of that is the stakeholders, the parents, the school, the caseworkers, the teachers, and support staff. Everybody looks after the child, right? It's a team around the child. And then the parents have to take a large amount of the helping them, the students as well. So we feel that if we get the team right, then we can get the progression right. You know, but that's something to share about our concept and our context, what we've been doing. But it is the team around a child. And one of the things I will always remember, we built our business on every child matters, the 5 parts of child matters, which Tony Blair's government came out with. You know?
We are not saying that we are actually on the wrong path. Perhaps we are quite slow, maybe, right? Because in the past, I think when I was still at schools or maybe at universities, my senior colleagues would say that even Thailand and Singapore actually comes to see us, but now they are more advanced ahead of us. And talking about that, in Australia, there are decentralized systems. Schools actually need to identify the needs of their pupils, and then they need to tackle that, not from the ministry.
No.
Yeah, not from the ministry. So the local committees work together and so on, not from the ministry. So now, we at the ministry need to tackle everybody. So it's quite huge because we are quite, big country as well, right? So that's what happened. And then we are multiracial, multi-ethnics with different background and so on. So that's our challenge. So even Australia, one professor said, don't worry, it seems like we are very good. We are the best. No, in reality, we are still facing problems. There are issues like teachers, the committee, and so on. So they still face these issues, but perhaps maybe because they have come, they have passed through this pace of what we are having now a long time ago. But they still have issues. As I said just now, inclusive education is actually a journey. It's never stopped. So,
it won't stop. It's a journey.
It's never stopped. Even when we died, it's
can we, I think what we should do is go into the other room now.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you so
so
much.
we have a networking there, so let's go into the other room and I can just get the debate going. So they're going to be clearing up here. So we got to...
Closing now. Thank you.
We can get into the other room. We have a...
Thank you so much.
We got a... Thank you. Thank you so much.
That's a great wrap up, Ms. Patel. I think we have another room which is catered for networking. You guys can actually join. But in this session, I'd like to just make a quick wrap up as well. Thank you so much for your participation. Thank you so much for the timer as well. And I believe that everybody here agrees that there's a lot of initiatives, a lot of effort being put into inclusive education, but it's not quite enough just yet. And I want you guys to give a big round of applause to yourselves. Thank you so much for ending today's seminar. Because it's you guys that make a difference. You guys are actually the ones that are passionate, that are caring about this world. So thank you so much for attending today's talk. But if you guys want to continue with the networking session, you guys are free to do so as well. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Patel, and thank you so much, everybody, as well. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you. To making this a beautiful journey. All right. With that being said, my name is MC Kai, also known as Kai the Guy. Thank you so much for having me right here, and I'll be the photographer of the day. And signing out. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for coming here for the Delivering Inclusion for Life. Thank you.